It's Friday night here on Sportzwire Radio. What did you think? We were going to take a day off here, especially with this last week on this platform and everything else going on in the world of wrestling, and a man to join us, and yet it's another Craven, but no, it's not that Craven because we've seen him here many times on this platform for whatever reason. I am talking about the coach. He is calling himself the real Craven. He is Chris Craven. He is a man that has done it all, and he is back here with us on Sportswire Radio because figuratively and literally, it's all wrestling matters, and we've got a lot to talk about in the wrestling world, and Coach has always got something to say. And Coach, long time no talk. How you been, and what's on your mind? And I hope the roads are nice and safe out there on a Friday night.
Yeah, I just got off work, driving home. I'm all right. I'm all good. I haven't seen SmackDown this evening, but I don't care about spoilers. If you guys got to mention them, you do what you got to do. I will shed some light on what I hear, though. Other than that, I've been good, man.
Coach, I'm going to leave it to you because you're the coach. You're in our Hall of Fame. You're a two-time Hall of Famer. What is on your mind right now in the wrestling world? I'll leave it to you because we'll have some guys join us here in a few minutes. I mean, what is on your mind, the one and only Chris Craven?
Well, I like the new direction that WWE's been going. I like the new excitement that they have. Like, that crowd was, like, incredibly ecstatic and electric. I thought Backlash went good. There's like I said, it feels like there's a new excitement in the company, like a whole new breath of fresh air. Everything's more vibrant, and I'm loving it. I can't say the same for AEW. Jesus.
So you didn't like the Tony Khan thing. You didn't like what happened with him, interjecting himself in his storyline. Not a big fan of that, huh?
Nope. I think Tony Khan is going to destroy his own creation.
And was there anything that you think that Tony Khan could have done differently? Should he have just stayed out? So, I mean, AEW is always a lightning rod, and you've obviously been very opinionated on that. So you don't like anything that they're doing. So what should AEW do differently?
Well, now, don't get me wrong. I like some of the matches. I like some of the talent. I think some of the talent or personnel that they have that gets out there and goes and performs, I think utilized properly with good storytelling, good matchmaking, could be just as epic as people you see over with Triple H and WWE.
Let me ask you.
It's like you get all the blood, blood and guts, but you don't get any story.
Fair play. So let me ask you this question. I never thought I'd say this. Did AEW, and specifically Tony Khan, did they become everything 5 years ago that they said they wouldn't be, where they brought in all these wrestlers, didn't have linear flow, brought in a who's who of free agents that had names that certainly have great resumes on the back of the wrestling card, and we're going to do things, and wound up, all you hear is the politicking, all the different stuff. So I ask you then, 5 years ago around this time, Double or Nothing was AEW's first big show. It had all this hoopla, excitement. They had the buzz. They were the darlings of the world. So, but now fast forwarding to 5 years, did AEW become everything that it railed against and was originally debuting to be not?
Yeah, I think they started off, like you said, as a hot buzz. It was the talk of the town.
I remember doing a podcast 5 years ago with a guy, Brandon Gaines, who I used to do a podcast with, and my brother. And we were talking about AEW. As a matter of fact, we were talking about, what about the possibility of Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes and AEW? And yet, it's 5 years later, and Cody Rhodes, a creation of him really from what he left in WWE, all the things he said in the press about basically implying about Triple H, how he wanted to take them on, and yet I fast forward 5 years later, and he's the guy about to have a match with Logan Paul at King and Queen of the Ring, and that's where we're at right now from what AEW was. I think that's just kind of the tale of the story.
I look at it like this. I mean, they came in, and I've said this before. They just like WCW. They came in. They made a big noise over here, and everybody looked that direction. And then over time, because of Tony Khan's uh, his inability to do what you need to do or run it how you need to run it, story tell, whatever you want to call it, or him just being a flat out mark, he's ruining his own product. I mean, Jesus Christ. And the funny thing is, Bischoff goes on his podcast every week talking about
I
AEW.
listen to it every week, Coach. I listen to it.
And Bischoff would know because Tony Khan is exactly where Bischoff was back in the 90s. Bischoff was in those shoes.
Bischoff had a cup of coffee in AEW, and he would obviously be the person to know most about what AEW should avoid. And Tony Khan was bashing Eric Bischoff left and right on social media, and kind of the irony of that.
Cody Rhodes. You mentioned Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes has mentioned before that he left for a list of reasons. Some personal, some not.
It is. Yeah.
Some personal, some not. But you also got to wonder. I mean, okay, maybe we can figure out the personal. Maybe the personal is the honor his father, finish the story like he did. But maybe the non-personal stuff was he saw the writing on the wall first and was like, "This was a good idea when it started, but if it's going to keep going this way, it's never going to obtain what I dreamed it to be."
Oh, there's no question about that. But again, it was something he started. It was something that everything he was trying to be to create this alternative. And he's back in the mothership, and he's the top guy right now, but not in AEW. And, it just makes you wonder.
I think when Cody left, that was the turning point for AEW. Cody leaving was, in my opinion, from what I've watched and I've seen in the past years, when Cody left, it altered everything. It changed their direction. It's like, yes, Cody started this. Cody's idea, along with others involved, but Nick Khan's the financial backer, right? So
yep.
Now the primary, the center pillar of what the idea of what AEW is to become is now gone. He's working for the competition, and Tony Khan's just there to throw his money around, do what he wants, because the Young Bucks don't look like they're doing a damn thing.
Correct me if I'm. We'll get to WWE in a few minutes, and I'll say hello to a bunch of people tuned in. But basically, from what you're telling me, then he's basically just lighting his money on fire, because it's basically he's just giving it away and getting nothing back, because the product is what it is. Ratings are basically, again, mired in mediocrity, despite what Meltzer will tell you. Live venue gates, don't even go there. Our buddy Randy Dillon was telling me that the Edmonton show that they had this past Wednesday, I mean, it was an utter disaster in terms of attendance figures. And sure, you have All Out, you have those occasional shows, the Sting final show in Greensboro, but at the end of the day, most live shows, most Dynamites are basically papered in, and they struggle to fill in people. Mercedes Moné came in with a lot of hype. That hasn't changed much. I mean, it's a who's who of people that have come here. Adam Copeland came in here about 9 months ago. That hasn't changed much. Saraya.
Nope. And I watched, what was it like? Was it last week or the week before last? They had Monet come out and do a promo.
Yep.
And the promo itself literally stunk the whole house out.
Because it seems to me that maybe these wrestlers may have great names. They had a tremendous amount of success, absolutely, but they're not being put in the right place because the people don't know. It's almost like, don't be in the kitchen if you can't cook. And it seems like whoever's running things, it's obviously, you mentioned Mr. Khan and the people he's put in place with the product. That's what's happening. Wrestlers are being put in parts that they're not able to replicate the success that they had elsewhere.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Like, so there's a lot of talent in the world mixed with the recipe of WWE that produce a good meal to take a bite out of when you sit down and watch wrestling. AEW, there's a lot of people there. And nobody's mixing properly, and it tastes like shit.
What do you think it says, though, about, let's say, veterans like Chris Jericho? Jericho's been there from the beginning. What do you think it says about the likes of Jon Moxley, another guy that's been there essentially from the beginning? those guys who have been veterans, those guys that have been company men, what do you think it also says about the likes of guys that have been there but really haven't done much? Let's say Paul White as an example, or guys who behind the scenes like Mark Henry. Mark Henry was said to be, he's found all this talent, and then go up and down the list of names. What do you think it says about those individuals? We're joined here by Mr. TBK, the Baltimore kid. We have a Baltimore, Maryland connection here in the house. Obviously, we love the great state of Maryland, and these two guys are Hall of Famers in there. But, before I bring it to TBK, and I'm sure we'll change course a little bit, talk WWE, but I mean, what do you think it says about those veteran guys that you would think would be leaders but haven't been able to help steer the ship of the product?
Well, like I said, it comes down to who's really running the ship. Like, I mean, I can't speak intelligently on how Mark Henry and Big Show and Jericho and Moxley and Edge and all those veterans are handling the situation like this. But a couple theories you could possibly ponder is like, is it I'm just going to go along with the cruise because the captain's going to sail the ship, how he's going to sail the ship, regardless of what I say? Or are they just sailing on the ship until the next time it makes port, and then they're jumping ship? I don't know. But then again, you got people like Big Show, Jericho, Mark Henry, and Edge. These are guys that are at the end of their career. Is it really that big of an argument to fuss over where you're at or what you're doing right now?
Could you say though? Could you say though, conversely, that those guys, why would they want to stain on their careers that they're in a product and working for a company that's basically in the toilet right now? What do you think it says to them, more or less? No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's always talent in the locker room that hope against hope, that say, well, maybe one day it'll eventually change and they'll turn it around and they'll listen to a veteran like me, like Big Show, Mark Henry. You mentioned these names, Jericho. Jericho's been in there since before day one, And, I mean, Jericho, I can't say much about Big Show and Mark Henry, but Jericho's always been a company guy. Like, if he's committed to it, he's committed to it. Jericho may be there until...
In WWE, when he was in WWE, he was always a company man. He was always, he would say all the right things, and he would say this, and that, and you would think a guy like that would be a leader. That's all.
I mean, and we hate to say it like this. I hate to say it like this, that maybe they're all there taking an easy ride right now, just getting that good money.
And that's what Bischoff's been saying on his podcast. But people that definitely don't take easy rides on us, the Baltimore kid. How you doing there, my friend? Obviously, lots to talk about. We were talking about some AEW things. Obviously, we'll change lanes a little bit here. To quote our good buddy, Mr. Alan Michaels, you designed his logo. You know a little thing or two about Mr. Michaels. He'll be here in about 15 or so minutes, and we'll have another guy to the room here to talk some wrestling before some of the other crew, what's left of them, comes on here in a little while. But, I mean, changing lanes into WWE, obviously we saw some of the things for the King and Queen tournament. We also saw a contract signing between Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes. And TBK, do you want to see this match? Do you want to see Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul? And what's your thoughts on some of those things and more? And anything else you want to add for us?
Well, first off, it's good to be back. Good to see you, Tom.
Good to see you, my friend. Well, good to be with you.
I think it's pretty much what Damian Priest said not long ago, where he said, that right now they're just feeding guys to see if the belt looks good on their new champions. As I've said before, you might not like him, but you can't deny him. Logan has showed that he has ability in the ring. He showed, that he's not going out there. He's not stinking the joint out. He's been in the ring with quite a few notable guys now. So you can tell that he can hang. Putting him against Cody already, I don't know about that, but I mean, hey, look, when you have the support and the backing of the top guys, when Triple H has come on your podcast several times and given you his endorsement, I mean, it's not so far out of the realm of possibility to see him in this spot.
Well, and he's had the match with Roman Reigns,
Right.
back about almost 2 years ago. So he's been there in this match. But then do you like kind of this as a change up? Because you could have maybe, I guess, stayed with AJ Styles for a little while, which would have really not made much sense. But it's kind of something fresh. I mean, you guys both want to see Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes before I get to some comments here. Do you guys like to see that match?
Sure, Cody whoop his ass. That'd be funny
to see. Like how you want to whoop Craven Rage's butt for the past year, right? Kind of the same thing for you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Let's see if he shows up to Summer Bash.
That's a good question. When I have him on, like for the umpteenth time, I'm sure in the next couple of weeks or a couple of days, I'm sure I'll let him know, and I'll let you come on the platform and ask him that question. But so you guys both want to see this match, Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes?
I wouldn't say I'm
dying to see it, right? It's like
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not dying to see it, but at least I know, and at least the fans should come to expect that Logan will give Cody a good match.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree with you. You're spot on with that. I couldn't agree with you more.
So in that aspect alone, if Cody Rhodes is okay with it, I guess I have to be, don't I?
No, you don't have to. You're on this platform. You could. I mean, anything goes on this platform at this point. We had one guy who was on the toilet while he came on and interviewed another wrestler's segment, doing a number 2. We had obviously one guy apologize, and then we had another guy.
That's fucking bullshit. That is just a fucking shitty thing to do.
Oh, really? Well, I see what you did there. We had Craven Rage turned down being in the Hall of Fame. Then the next day said that he was in the Hall of Fame, that he was back in wrestling. Then we had yesterday a guy was on the air, was drunk, and then I basically had to fire him off the platform and fire him out of the IMF for the guys. I mean, I could keep going. I mean, we had Tuesday's show where we had Skulls, quote unquote, and some other guy, I won't even mention his name at this point, have a match where both guys one guy used a license. Actually, both guys used a license plate. The other guy used a baseball bat, hit Skulls with the head. Skulls is taken out with a concussion. We had Loose Cannon apparently scammed these guys out of this company for $1,000 and said he had indie contacts and big contacts, and that didn't happen. So anything goes with this platform. So if you don't like Logan Paul versus Cody Rhodes, you can say, you know that, TBK. You've been here 1,000 times. You know almost everything goes on Sportswire. I mean, I could keep going here. I mean, at this point, this has only been the last week. Aaron Blaze came on here, which nobody thought that was going to happen. He talked about this, that. We had wrestlers all of a sudden from other places basically book their own matches in other promotions. I don't even know. It's almost like we're like AEW, but maybe it's almost live. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what AEW should be more like us, because anything goes here, and it seems like that's what people want.
Well, anything goes in AEW and nobody wants to watch. We actually have people here.
Well, we actually do on Sportswire. We actually do have a lot of people, 75 people watching, and viewership is up. Let me get to some comments here. I want to say hello to one of my buddies who's been there in the ring, Mr. Michael Christian of Explosive Championship Wrestling. They have a big show coming up next month in the great state of Indiana called Extreme King. Hello, Rev. Thank you for that. I also want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Ethan Sorensen. How are you guys doing today? Well, this is before you came in, so add TBK to the mix. Also, one of my buddies, who, by the way, I want to wish him a happy birthday again, Mr. Hillbilly Tilly. Yesterday was his birthday. He is now one of 2 general managers in our Hall of Fame, fellow Hall of Famer next to you guys, and he is from the great state of Alabama. And he says, howdy, guys, and I hope the weather is good by you, because I know in the South they've been dealing with a lot of rain, and here in New York, I'm back in a coat. It's funny, guys. 2 days ago, I'm in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm sweating through one of my wrestling shirts. I think it was an Andrew Lovelace shirt. And then all of a sudden today, I'm out in Brooklyn, and I'm almost in a coat again. So I don't know what to make of the weather these days. Hope the weather is good by you guys. Want to say hello to my very good friends out there in the great state of North Dakota, legendary Backyard Wrestling, and they are definitely legendary supporters and a legendary promotion that we talk a lot about here. And how you guys doing? Also, Ethan would like to say, honestly, Tom, I thought that the segment between Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul was really good. And also, we haven't seen a champion versus champion match since Cena and CM Punk and Brock and Roman. Have we seen a champion versus championship match? I mean, Brock and Roman was Cena and Punk was a while ago. Brock and Roman was, I think, 2 years ago. So that's not that long ago, Ethan Sorensen. And I'm not sure what the point is on that. But you like the segment segment for ABK, and before I say hello to Mr. Mac 10, another certainly very, very interesting and favorite person of mine who I shared his post on Facebook. He has said something about people sharing his post and people caring, and I shared his post. But did you like the segment TBK with Rhodes and Paul at all, or didn't care much for it?
It's like I said. I mean, at the end of the day, at least I know that it'll be a decent match. If I thought that the match was going to be shitty or that Logan wouldn't give Cody a decent match, then I'd probably be more upset about it. I'm not going to sit here and like I said, I'm not going to say I'm excited. I'm not going to say this is the match I'm most looking forward to, because it's not. But it's kind of one of those is what it is. It's again.
Let me frame this in a different way. Tell me what you guys think on this. Coach was talking about Backlash, a lot of excitement. France, obviously, whole different thing, never seen before. But is this now the period where WWE is kind of like trying to figure out where it's going to go for the next couple of months until SummerSlam? So it's kind of now choppy waters, more or less, or is this still building off the excitement of going into WrestleMania? What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a totally different feel. I mean, I think WrestleMania is behind us, and right now they're re-getting their feet wet and trying new things out. Like I said, you got new faces. You got Damian Priest as champion. You got Cody Rhodes as champion. So right now, I mean, it's to be expected. France was absolutely insane. And if WWE does not appreciate or maximize their European market at this point, I don't know what you're doing. Because
they were talking about going to Italy now after France.
And they absolutely should. I mean, to be a United States fan after just seeing the absolute appreciation and energy from these European crowds, it's a little embarrassing. I mean, I know. Well, it's because is
it because we're spoiled?
Yes.
I always say all the time, we're so spoiled because we see these people, I don't know, 6-7 times a year if you're in a big city. Whereas in these countries, right? France, you're talking about Italy. We saw what happened last year in Scotland and such, and they never get a chance to see these people. This could be their only moment they ever see these people. We saw what happened in Australia. Even Montreal to an extent. When you're in Montreal and these different foreign cities, we've seen what's happened in Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's because those people may never get a chance to see these larger-than-life personas and talents, and we're we're just spoiled. Is that what it is, you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you have AJ Styles break kayfabe on X, Twitter, whatever the hell they're calling it now, and pretty much put out a tweet and go, I know I'm supposed to be the bad guy, but France, you guys absolutely killed it. They know, they get it. These guys know that what they did over there, that crowd over there, it was special.
No question.
The people's cell phones and watches and electric devices were getting decimal level warnings.
Yeah, right. That too. It's insane.
Is that the future, you think, where we should see more foreign shows for WWE?
Absolutely. They deserve it.
I think Triple H and all the other parties involved are going to try to ride this lightning bolt as far as they can take it with, like I said, with this new energy, this new excitement, whether it's here or overseas, they're going to ride out this new energy as far as they can take it. And then when that's done, who knows? They may try something different to bring it back, to get more energy into it. Dude, it's just getting better. I mean, WWE a couple years ago tastes like fucking as shitty as gas station hot dogs, and now it's tasting like gourmet fucking steak dinner.
I made the point before we say hello to somebody who's always trying to change lanes and stay trendy. My very good buddy, Mr. Alan Michaels, and Alan had maybe the biggest win of his career this past weekend at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling's Rampage 161. Not too bad work for him winning in the main event, but 5 years ago we were talking about WWE and AEW were the cool kids. AEW was this new player on the block that came out with all this poise and all the right things they said. Double or Nothing was this great event, so much excitement, and now AEW is what it is. But yet WWE, right? These last 7 months, right, 6-7 months, you think pretty much I would say WWE is like red hot. You go on social media and WWE has become, in a way, a product that's got its most, I guess, praise since maybe the Attitude Era, I suppose. And, I guess maybe that's one way to look at it in a such.
Yeah. I mean, WWE has, they're selling out. They're selling out their regular shows. They're selling out NXT. They're selling out their PLEs. And AEW can't sell tickets past the first couple rows.
I was going to say, AEW, do they even draw 2,000 people in a live gate? I mean, aside from the major show that they do, I mean, that's what you're talking about. You're talking about WCW 2000 levels.
The absolute worst thing that they ever did was allow Tony Khan to be an on-screen personality. It just, sorry,
there's a lot of things they've done even before.
There's that. Yeah, first of all, I mean, we could go on all day, but like, I'm sorry, dude. You should be the epitome of be seen and not heard because you're a fucking goof.
Yeah, no, there's no question that his lack of ability speaks for himself. Let me get to a couple questions before I say hello to Mr. Alan Michaels. Our good buddy over there, Mr. The CJ, the Alpha Junt. I am slightly behind. Is Cody versus Logan a champion versus champion match, or is the match both titles on the line? I thought it was just a champion versus champion match. I didn't hear title versus title. I know Cody did talk about becoming a Grand Slam champion. I'm pretty sure I didn't hear the U.S. titles on the line, but that could always change. What did you guys? Well, I know Coach didn't see it. Maybe Alan and TBK did before I bring on somebody else in a second. But did you like the main event? For those that caught it on SmackDown, Randy Orton and AJ Styles for the qualifier in the second round of the King of the Ring tournament. What did you guys think about that? And Randy also talked about, how the fact that he's never been King of the Ring. But to be fair, there haven't been that many King of the Ring since he's actually been an active wrestler. So I wasn't like really that hyped up about that. But what did you guys think about that for those who saw it?
Anybody?
I didn't get you. I'm be so honest with you. I didn't get you.
Okay. I will pretty much say, and this might be a hot take, but it's me after all.
Alan Michaels is supposed to be the king of hot takes.
That's right. That's right. I'm taking some of your thunder there, Bubba. I will go on to say that tonight was one of those forgettable nights, except for the main event. I think the main event saved the night. Randy and AJ, after making big comebacks, AJ has been in a lot of big high profile matches here, as he should. It is good to see them using AJ Styles the way he should be used. Randy Orton is Randy Orton. The guy never misses a beat. He still looks great. He's still out there moving and doing his thing. As far as the King of the Ring, though, I mean, I gotta agree. The only person that I can remember ever having an impactful King of the Ring run was maybe Booker. In recent memory, outside of Booker T, I don't know. King of the Ring has never been that impressive to me, but that's just me.
I want to say hello to Mac 10, of course, but Mr. Michaels, I mean, always good to see you. And I'm going to obviously bring one of your cohorts on in a second. Am I allowed to bring him on when you're here, Mr. Shane Davidson? But obviously, what's on your mind, Mr. Michaels? What did you think of wrestling the week that was? SmackDown, Logan Paul, Cody Rhodes. You excited about it? You more excited about this match than your victory over Jay Wild? I mean, I'd be curious on that.
I saw something on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, this week that Dave Meltzer gave Cody versus AJ a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy that he goes and I don't know how much y'all feel about the 5 stars that he gives out, or I really couldn't give two shits what he thinks a 5-star is, because he never gave Kurt Angle a 5-star. If you haven't watched the Kurt Angle match and said, hey, that's 5 stars right there. then you don't know what wrestling is, in my personal
Absolutely.
opinion. But I really did like that Backlash match. I know the Burning Hammer spot is getting a lot of heat because you're like, oh, what's the Burning Hammer become? You have to think a lot of the mainstream, North American wrestling fan doesn't know the lore behind the Burning Hammer. So it doesn't give it that much credit to begin with. I mean, I think it was a cool spot. It's a main event of a PLE, and you have your undisputed champion who just dethroned Roman kick out of a Burning Hammer at 1. It makes sense. I think the match was great.
Now, are you expecting? Now, we have a guy before I get to Mac 10. He has to say something. I want to let him come in for a second. Now, I'm sure, Mr. Michaels, you're aware of somebody named Copper Dragon now, who's been rating wrestlers' matches here in the yard in the underground. He gives a rating system of 7 stars. He's proclaimed himself to be the official rating system for our wrestling in the backyard in the underground. Now, obviously, the tag team match that you had this past weekend at 161, would you like to be rated 7 stars to be one of only a handful of wrestlers to be rated? To be rated 7 stars, because CJ Black, the good guy, has been rated 7 stars for his match not too long ago. Are you maybe opining, Mr. Michaels, to be rated by Copper Dragon to be 7 stars for your match maybe this past Saturday at Rampage 161? Are you opining maybe for that? Because I can let Mr. Dragon know that he should rate your match because I'm actually a friend of his.
I didn't even know we had one of those guys.
Well, that might not be a good way to politic yourself into a match to be rated.
You never know, I guess.
I got a bone to pick, Tom.
Go for it.
I'm the motherfucking coach on this thing. If anybody's gonna be rating shit first,
well, he's big on TikTok. He is big.
He can play with his TikTok all he wants, but when it comes to real wrestling.
Well, he was a part of the GWC, the old GBYWN back in the day. I'll let him know that for sure. I will get to some comments in a second. Mac 10, always good to see you, my friend. I hope that this is on a more of a lighter note than what we saw last time on the air. But what's on your mind, my friend? I know you have a couple things you want to say, and I want to give you the floor because, well, you're Mac 10, and you could kill me if you don't.
Well, Tom, I was coming in to say, what's up, D'Angelo? But this is going to hit a little bit harder than normal.
Okay.
It has to deal with one of your friends, Jimmy Controversy.
I actually spoke to Mr. Controversy. I can't say what I spoke to him about, but I did speak to him this very early in the morning. Talk to me about him.
So Controversy has been running a little cocksucker, playing his cop role that he wants to fucking play.
A new group. I did see that. I was tagged that on Instagram.
And he's running around saying Juggalo lives don't matter. Well, Brian White showed him why Juggalo lives matter, and the rest of the crew. And I'm going to say this right here on Sportswire. Controversy, you issued me to come to Pro Wrestling Venom. You've got it. And I'm coming for every single one of your titles, brother.
So you're coming up north?
I'm coming up north.
And that's live? This is not a work. This is true.
No,
really
this is live.
You know what, Mr. Controversy? You're going to be dealing with some real controversy now because Mac 10 is coming your way, and this time he's traveling to you. And it sounds like your days could be as the Law and Order, the murder worshiper, and all that stuff in between. The sergeant could be numbered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? There you have it there. I mean, Mac 10 always dropping some lines here. Let me get to a bunch of comments in the meantime. Mr. Joseph Tibbs is here. Mr. Tibbs, obviously, hello. And by the way, I got some news to break for you guys. Speaking of Resurrection real quick, he's going to be here live this coming Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. The one and only D'Angelo LaFlame, your buddy, Alan Michaels, everybody's buddy at this point. He is the darling of the backyard in the underground wrestling scene. We're going to see him at the NEW Underground Wrestling's Riot in the Ring on June 1st. He's also going to talk about his match upcoming against Jacoby, and D'Angelo LaFlame, who has defended his championship, not only in Resurrection Wrestling, of course, but in the Alliance Wrestling League in the great state of Alabama, who's also making his way up north is going to be here live to take his place into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame this coming Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you dropped some news, Mac 10. I dropped a few of my own. So there you have it. Let me get to some comments here. Some guy, James Taylor, the nemesis James Taylor. Hello, good evening. Alan, can you say hello to him? Are you okay to say hello to James Taylor? Or not a good idea to say hello to him? But Shane Davidson can say hello to him. But
I can say hello to whoever I want.
Taylor. Fucking Taylor.
I think Alan's doing the very political thing there, saying no comment. Ron Franklin from the great state of Pennsylvania. Hello, Ron. Are you asking for an invite, Ron? Also, I have a good point here. Stone Cold King of the Ring was the best move WWE has done. Yeah, I think of the King of the Ring winners, if I went back in history, Stone Cold was the most impactful because of Austin 316, right? I mean, I would say probably the most impactful.
Yeah. I think King Booker, that little run was pretty memorable in my opinion.
He was the world champion. I mean, that was a good run, but Stone Cold being the King of the Ring changed.
Other side of the scale. You literally just went all the way to the other side of the scale. You went from Austin to Booker. It's good
I think Austin
most memorable versus.
Well, I think Austin changed probably wrestling as we know it, right? Because that changed the fortunes of WWE. So I think that would be, a good point. Mr. LaFlame is here. Yes, hello, Mr. LaFlame. My guest tomorrow night, by the way, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, since our TBW audience is going to have nowhere to go. Come on and hang out with Mr. Jake Matthews. He is obviously the Born to Battle briefcase holder. He's the best on the card. He's also in our Hall of Fame. He's going to be here live 9 o'clock. And I'm looking forward to Jake being on the platform. Hillbilly Tilly, congratulations to the energy of the backyard and D'Angelo LaFlame. You're a good buddy, Alan Michaels. You're a very good buddy on getting a well-deserved induction. And James Taylor makes a good point. Austin for sure. By the way, what's this term mark? Does anybody know what a mark means? I don't know what this term, forgive me. I know nothing about wrestling. I'm not a wrestling fan. I know zero about wrestling. What is this whole thing about a mark? Is it somebody's first name? Triple H was good. Yeah, Triple H was okay in 97, and Kurt Angle is a good one. But I think Austin had more of a lasting impact. And also, thank you, Hillbilly. But let me bring in, some other people. Alan, what else is on your mind? I see Shane Davidson. I mean, you guys can talk on the same show, but, Shane Davidson, what's on your mind tonight? What do you want to talk about in the world of wrestling as you got some of your colleagues here in the sport? What do you got there, by the way? What are you drinking?
Just the typical clear American,
Oh, are you a clear American? Oh, you guys got both the same drink. How is that possible? Oh, hi. I think I know you. How are you?
That's my wife.
I know.
Oh, I'm good. Big.
Oh, thank you for allowing me to borrow your husband for the next hour.
He said, "Thank you for letting me borrow your husband for the next hour." You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So, what's on your mind, Mr. Clear American?
With the Clear American, it's I don't know. Anyway, what was the question again?
So, what's on your mind wrestling wise in this week? It was. I mean, we're having fun here on Sportswire. That's what we do here. We don't even talk wrestling. We just talk about
pretty much here soon. Me and Alan Michaels have a big announcement coming soon. I'm not going to announce anything right now. It's just everything is still in the works. Everything.
Oh, so you guys could actually do something together? You guys are allowed.
I wish somebody would tell me I can't mess with my best friend. They can suck my, you know what.
Hey, do you guys know each other? Mac 10, do you know Alan Michaels and Shane Davidson?
I know both of them. They've been on Resi.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are reunited again. Who would have thought, right?
I just want to know if the announcement is as big as that microphone.
Shane has always had a big microphone.
Tom has brought this up multiple times. It's actually not the microphone. It's just the microphone, like what's the word? What's the word you use? Filter.
The filter.
So I have to, you know what? You forget about the wrestling. We'll get to wrestling comments in a second. I'll even say, James Taylor, if you want to come on for a few minutes, part of me is saying, come on down. But, you know, where did you buy that, Mike? I don't think I've ever seen a microphone as big as that. That microphone is bigger than some people's heads and maybe some that have even been on this platform recently that called themselves wrestlers. I mean, you know, where did you buy that? That's my question. Forget about SmackDown, Raw, AEW. Where did you get that microphone from?
I actually bought this from a pawn shop, my man. You know, whenever I bought all my equipment, I tried to stay cheap. I tried to stay, you know, letting everybody know, hey, it's okay to use a budget for this stuff. You know, you don't want to go spend thousands of dollars. You know, you can. It's for me, I'm a quality guy, but like the quality on this isn't bad. Like,
so you're not like Alan Michaels, always trying to stay trendy, and you know.
Don't let him fool you. Don't let Alan Michaels fool you. That cheap ass SOB. Don't let him fool you.
Well, actually, next week I think I mentioned this. I have to send you actually the money for the Crystal's hamburgers, so maybe that would play into Mr. Davidson's.
Alan Michaels don't turn down free food. Let's just put that out there.
We can tell.
By the way, if you're out here right now, we have 103 people watching. We're actually having, you know, Mac 10. I would encourage you. I know you're Mr. Mountain Dew man, but I would encourage you not to enter in our competitive eating contest 2 weeks from tonight. We're actually doing a competitive eating contest where Alan Michaels is going to try to eat as many as Crystal's hamburgers as he humanly possibly can. So I would recommend you not to enter in this contest because Alan.
I don't like Crystals anyway, so we good.
Oh, so that's good. That's good to know.
Now,
so
if I was the younger Mac, there was no way you'd be able to beat me, buddy. I'm sorry. and Rezi has suffered the consequences of giving Alan a full pizza by himself.
No, you know what?
No, Alan didn't get none of that pizza.
I want to know about this. You know, I know people are wondering what's he talking about. So, Alan Michaels, apparently you had an uncontested box of pizza with you, and what happened there? What did you do to it? Did you defeat
No. Let me tell you what happens, Tom. Before I wrestle, I do not eat anything because I just this is kind of how it always been.
You better tell him the truth. You better tell him why. You better
what are they feeding you in Lafayette now that you're back there? What are they feeding you? Chicken, burgers?
I don't eat nothing before I wrestle. It's always how I've been. I don't want to throw up. You know, I have a weak stomach. You know, but you know, I was in a gauntlet match, and I was in that gauntlet match for about 15 minutes. So, you know, after I got backstage, after I
Resurrection, that was the gauntlet match.
Yeah, after I took the loss, you know, backstage, I was pretty much, you know, dying for about 10 minutes, you know, 15 minutes in the ring.
Slapped a whole box of pizza.
Did not smack a whole box of pizza.
Yes,
after that,
did.
I was.
All right, for my wrestlers, all right, you know what? Now this is turning into the roast of Tom Brady, like on Netflix, and I wish we had Nikki Glazer here instead of me, because I'd rather look at Nikki Glazer. For the wrestlers here on the show, do you guys eat before you go out there? I don't even care anymore about WWE. I mean, do you guys eat before you go in the ring, or you like Alan Michaels and just you can't go out there because you're worried about pulling a sit at WrestleMania 13?
Taco Bell, yeah.
Shoot, our boys over at Resi, every show that we do, we order Domino's for them, and they each get like 2 slices of pizza, and then they can eat whatever they want after their match.
Before my matches, I always carb load because carbs stick and it don't make you projectile vomit like everybody else does.
And that's why we get pizza.
Period.
I've been in locker rooms where it was never a rule about food. The only rules we ever had in the locker room was no paraphernalia that's going to get you off your balance and no drinking.
Yep.
We had on the show. You should know last night we had a guy who was quote unquote calling himself a wrestler who was coming in for his match, and he was at a bar. And he was just going on and on and on. And you could tell he was drunk, and he had a Bud Light next to him. And I basically said a number of things I won't repeat too much on the platform here because it's already.
I like those ones that come on and say they're a wrestler, but not really.
Thank God I wasn't watching. I would have came in and roasted.
Well, we had a few of them in the past week, but the point is obviously you guys would do that here. But I have, your employer, Mr. Michaels, before I ask TBK if he actually eats before he does his own podcasting. Mr. Michaels, for you, I mean, Michaels had to go through Robbie Andrews, once upon a time, Fat Agent, and Andrew Clay, by the way. So maybe that's why you wanted that pizza. You had to go for it.
I didn't get any pizza. I will put that out there. No pizza for Alan Michaels. Did not get a single slice.
So when you
I would
go
own
back
up to it.
So when you
what about the box of pizza we took home, dude?
There's no box of pizza we took. Now he's just making up shit.
Okay.
So what about when you go back to TBW next time you're in the ring? Before you're in the ring, Alan Michaels, you mean to tell me you're not getting a pack of crystals and just scarfing them all down? Nope, just nothing.
No. If I do anything, it's crackers with peanut butter. If I do anything.
TBK, I'm going to ask you before you come on the air. You do your podcast, obviously, to be more talkative. Do you eat before you go on the air and do your riveting interviews, or do you just do what these guys do? And I mean, I got to ask you that question.
I was going to say I'm not a wrestler. The only thing I'm currently wrestling with is diabetes.
Oh, well, that's a good point.
It's kicking my fucking ass.
Mountain Dew, which is actually happens to be my favorite drink, and that's the people's drink, Mountain Dew.
He's a gourmet chef. He's on Facebook all day long talking about, look, I made this from scratch.
Well, I did. That's not a joke.
Maybe you know what? You're obviously I
What
see
I
all
mean
the
is, you can't ask him about food because he's so biased. He loves that kitchen, man. You can't.
Well, have you had? Well, you know what,
Coach?
Have you had Mr. TBK's food? Has he been Chef TBK for you and cooked?
No,
for you
but there
yet?
was one time I did buy him Subway for lunch.
Oh, big spender.
Jeff had Subway.
Well, actually, technically, he paid me to put furniture together. I used that same money.
I did
to buy him lunch with. So technically,
I bought myself lunch.
Maybe we should hire. You know what? Maybe we should. Because we know obviously TBK can cook, and I've seen his pictures on Facebook. Maybe TBK should be hired to be the in-house cook for TBW and Resi. Maybe we should fly him down there. He could cook, cook his meals like he does, in his household, and maybe cook for Resi and TBW. I'm sure that can be arranged, right? We've got some heavy hitters here from TBW and Resi in the house.
If Josh's wallet is open, then so is my kitchen.
They got 7,400 subscribers on YouTube now. I mean, everybody knows TBW. They're known all over the world. And Resi's got some huge shows coming up, and they've got some big stars there. I'm sure that we could find
My question on that, Tom, the TBK is, what's your best dish that you can make, and then I'll decide whether or not that he can come down and cook.
I can put down TBW presents.
Okay, hold on. Let's gauge your taste buds here. Like, what do you like? And let me ask you a question. Do you like Olive Garden?
Not really.
Thank God. All right, good shit. Glad to hear that.
The only thing that I will ever get at Olive Garden is the breadsticks and the gnocchi soup.
Okay, very good.
That's
man. All right, so I've gathered that you don't like shit food. All right. Like I said, what do you like?
Bro, food is food. I've been all over the world eating different foods. So
then I got you. Don't worry about it.
I roast gravy with some biscuits.
I can do that. I can do anything.
Just because I'm from the South, man.
Who was that group that came out with biscuits and gravy? Remember that tag?
Jesse and Festus.
Oh, Jesse and Festus. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I wish Festus would come back, but we'll never see that again.
No.
You mean that's not Shane and Michaels?
Shane is the tallest Festus.
Which one is biscuits and which one is gravy?
Is that how you're coming back to TBW? Is that the announcement, Shane? You guys are going to read?
They both look like they had too much cornbread.
I don't know about that. That's up to management now. That's up to management now.
It's probably copyright infringement too.
Alan's doing the best thing he could do is say nothing there. Alan's like no comment.
He just TBW takes a lot of things they see and they turn it into. They mimic a lot of talent. So instead of biscuits and gravy, y'all could be tea and crumpets.
That might work for our UK audience. That might work for our friends in CCW. I don't necessarily know if tea and crumpets works in Tennessee. I don't know if you guys are tea and crumpets people, but
he could be the English dessert dish spotted dick.
I think our friends for the tribal cheese would probably have tea and crumpets. I think our friends Jam Dog, because his name is Jam Dog, jam and cheese. I think that's kind of been the running joke.
Really bad name to
have.
Jam Dog.
He's the CCW world champion.
Did he get his nickname from prison?
No, actually, not at all. He looks like basically one of the guys from the Banana Splits, the old cartoon they used to show on Cartoon Network.
I rest my case.
Well, he's been on the platform. He's in our Hall of Fame. Actually, he's a world champion.
That's nice.
Also, Hillbilly Tilly says fish and chips.
There you go. There's one.
I was
There you
going to
go.
say something like that, but I didn't
Fish and
think that
chips.
would hit.
That's what I was thinking too, but
When I think of fish and chips, I used to think of Arthur Treacher's, but that used to be big in the mall. You go to the mall.
Well, you guys don't fit the ethnicity to be like watermelon and chicken. So, yeah, fish and chips kind of works.
Yeah.
I got a Mr. Michaels. I got a funny thing from your boss. He says that reminds me of the shoot interview with Doc Gallows, F Dr. Death. And also, I have. By the way, hello to General Coolman. General Coolman, who's been here for the past couple of streams, and I noticed that more people here are tuned in for this than when I have like some of the most dominant, decorative British wrestlers around. So that tells you that people rather hear more about tea and crumpets than maybe pro British wrestling stars. Tea and crumpets are too much of a British thing, or New England.
I got it.
What do you guys
Biscuits
think,
and
David?
Not biscuits and gravy. Pigs in a blanket. That's what we can be called.
You sat there for like 3 minutes and thought of that.
Jokes on you. Dude.
Now, the question really is:
Who was on the writing team and gave you that joke, Shane Davidson? Who on the writing team there gave that to you?
Did he really sit there for 3 minutes and think this up, or for the last 3 minutes has he had sausages on the brain?
I don't know that. I wouldn't be able to confirm or deny that. That's only up to Mr. Davidson for us.
I do have something to say on this one. We have another still on the stage with us right now, eating on video.
So now, do I know this guy? Would I happen to know anything about him? Would I?
He's right below you. He's eating on stream.
Haven't met him before, right?
Yeah, he's right below you.
Let me look. I don't know.
If you're going to take a shot at me, young man, then just take a shot at me. Don't beat around the bush. I'm always in favor of a good shoot.
Now, I don't know what you mean about the word shoot. Are you talking about shooting like shooting with a gun? Because, we did have Obey come on here once with a gun.
I'm not talking about some little kid playing with his daddy's BB gun.
No, he had a real gun, Obey. He actually talked about a real gun on the platform live.
Obey's crazy.
Obey is a very interesting guy who I own like once in a blue moon because I'm like...
His manager is even crazier.
I've heard a thing or two about that, but I'm going to say we're live on Sportzwire Radio. I want to say nothing about that, but other than hello, Mr. Obey, and Shane Davidson's having more food there. And, what do you got there again, Shane Davidson?
Banana chips.
Banana chips. The TBK doesn't cook banana chips. I'm pretty sure of that, right? You don't cook banana chips.
No banana chips.
That's good to know.
Munchies, so we're chilling.
You got the munchies. We're chilling here. Let me get to a couple more comments here. The one moment of King of the Ring that nobody can forget is the match between Mankind and Undertaker, 1998, where he threw Mankind off the cell, and Mankind came back and still finished the match. I mean, that's a good one. That's a good point.
For sure.
That's a good one there.
That is a match.
With no crash pad under there, too.
That is a match that is still, highly regarded. Like, I think that's one of those matches, and maybe you guys can agree that if you're trying to get somebody who's not a wrestling fan into wrestling, you show them that match.
That's a good point. And speaking of people here that are eating a lot, we are joined also by Mr. Michael's eventual opponent 14 days from now in the first ever Sportswire Radio competitive eating contest. His name is Big T, and I'm sure Big T is about to break out here and have a whole stack of Crystal's burgers to eat live for us to kind of psych out his opponent, Alan Michaels. And Big T is live with us. Big T, we've heard a lot of eating talk. We're going to go into wrestling, but actually we're just talking about eating right now. And, obviously your opponent, Mr. Michaels, has obviously been spewing all night about his obviously prowess when it comes to at the dining room table and with pizzas and everything else. And you've got a whole bunch of people here watching us. You're back live on Sportswire Radio. Forget about the talk about wrestling. Forget about anything else that people want to hear. Some of the old the rockin' soccer, the tough talk between you and Mr. Michaels. And it's good to see you, and it's good to see your opponent. I'm sure the man that you might want to figuratively eat coming up 14 days from now. We're having an eating contest between you two.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
He's going to eat him?
Look at this man. He's a big man.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he's not ready for it, man. I will if I have to. Mikey will go down with the food.
What?
Yeah.
Pause.
No pause.
No,
pause.
he said no pause.
Safe.
That's
We need a safe word. Pineapples. I don't like it.
Crazy word.
We might have to clear the deck in 2 weeks now because the two of you, I mean, you guys are just going to be, I mean, I don't even know. You guys might be bigger than states, what you guys are going to do to each other coming up with those Crystals burgers.
Not lying. Not lying, man.
You look like, Big T looks like he could have like 4 boxes of them, where Mr. Michaels is looking like, I don't know, he's been tired. He looks like, maybe he was gassed after that match with Jay Wild last week in a tag match with his buddy Russell Cooper. Somebody got that reference.
The back-to-back footlongs, Big T going down.
Did you hear about that last week on the show? In the footlongs, the whole issue, he was complaining about Subway. You heard him. You heard about
back footlongs.
What do you think about that, Big T? People don't care about sports talk right now. They want to know about the food and the tail of the tape between, footlongs and, fish and chips. We're talking about tea and crumpets, pizzas. Mac 10's got Mountain Dew. We got clear American drinks. TBK's a chef. Chris Craven basically wants to shoot food. I mean, who knows what else is going on out there?
Yeah, notice how Mikey likes to say specific foods, and then I'll go down with it depending on what he picks. Mikey knows that he can pick anything he wants, and he's going down. Oh, he knows it. Deep down, he knows it.
Listen. 1 day ago, went to Walmart, picked up the off-brand Uncrustables, smacked the whole box. Didn't even think about it.
Oh, that's only 4.
Actually smacked the box.
Peanut butter jelly sandwich.
Hey, smacked with ease. I was like, what's next?
No, hold on. The way you say that is just way disturbing. It's like, it's not a woman's ass that you come up behind and smack, and you're like, ooh. It's food. If you're getting sexually aroused off some peanut butter jelly Crustables, that is way beyond. That is way beyond.
No. I'm going to cut you off on that. We're a family station on Sportswire. After what this week has had, where we had Xavier Thorne doing a number 2 live on the air. We had this guy, Remington Stryker, who was drunk last night. We had this guy, Tyler Rock, the Mano Machinist. We had Skulls come on here. This guy, Silver Wolf. We had apologies left and right. I mean, we're going to nip that in the bud. We're not going to go there. We've pretty much
literally Tom was inviting me on, and I could have handled it all.
Oh, listen, we're definitely handling it. And there's regular Sportswire Radio guys. It's Rob Maraska and Chris Pizzea. Come on down, join the conversation. The point is that at the end of the day, we're going to nip that in the bud because obviously we know that we want to just stick to the food, the tail of the food. They say the tail of the tape. It's the tail of the food between these two behemoths, these two giants, Big T and the trendsetter, Alan Michaels, the staying trendy, changing lane rap artist, man who's won obviously the main event of TBW's Rampage 161, the mothership of the sport, Big T, who's literally bigger than Papa Bear George Hallis, who ran the Chicago Bears.
Looks like the Asian sumo wrestler from the movie The Replacements that ate eggs before the game.
At least you didn't say Akebono, who died not too long ago. Speaking of people that were around during, the dinosaur eras, we got Rob Maraska, the Grim Reaper of Sportswire Radio, who's apparently a Grim Reaper, self-proclaimed big Grim Reaper. And Rob Maraska, I know you're dying to talk about a number of different things, but at this point, we're basically having a roast because we're getting ready for the tail of the tape here between Alan Michaels and Big T, and now they're getting ready for the competitive eating contest, Crystal's Burgers. And one guy was talking about eating the whole Uncrustables. Another guy was talking about eating who knows what. We've heard fish and chips.
No, he was talking about molesting a Crustable. That was a little weird.
Well, we're a family station. I'm going to plead the fifth on that stuff here because, like I said, the last week on this platform alone, I had a guy doing a number 2 in the bathroom who had to be told to get off the platform because I think his mama, his wife, somebody was telling him, get out of the bathroom. Somebody needs to use it. We had somebody apologize on the platform. We had Craven Rage, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame and then decided he was not taking the induction, and then he was back in wrestling, going to take the induction. We then had this guy, Skull, this other guy, Tyler Ark. And, we had Remington Strike. We had a guy yesterday, for the regular guys who don't know, we had a guy on the platform who was drunk on the air in a bar getting thrown out of a bar. Before he was about to be thrown out of a bar, I actually had to throw him off Sportswire Radio and permanently deactivate him, kind of like the Arizona Coyotes hockey team. So I'm going to nip that in the bud about the Uncrustables and just say that it's good to be with everybody. It's a Friday night. I know people were thinking they're going to talk this, and that, but the people don't seem to want that. They seem to want the debauchery. They seem to want the controversy on Sportswire, and we've got obviously all of it here and some.
I'm all about the controversy.
Let's do it.
I got some major controversy that I just heard.
Well, you did mention that. I'm going to put that out there on Instagram. But, I mean, how you guys all doing? Hopefully you guys bring your appetites on May 24th is all I'm going to say.
So let's go the day after May 24th to the 25th when Resi is doing their next pay-per-view, Saturday Night Riot.
Oh, speaking of people, you're allowed to. Do you work here on Sportswire? Are you allowed to be here? I thought you were off the platform. I thought you couldn't be here anymore. Are you allowed to be here?
But back to what I was saying real quick.
Yes.
I just got word from the general manager that Mac's going to be in 2 matches that night, so there's going to be a lot of carnage.
Ooh, carnage. Well, you know what? I've got Mr. LaFlame Thursday. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But Scooby Stoney, I mean, I don't know what you've actually walked into because we've been talking about eating. We've been talking about fish and chips. We talked about Alan eating Uncrustables, and Coach Chris Graven was talking about things I don't even want to repeat. And it's good to be with you, Scooby.
Yeah, it's good to hear from you, Tom. It's been a while, man.
Are you allowed to be here on this platform?
Am I allowed to be here? I guess that's up to you, man.
Oh, no, I meant you had a job. I thought you were working on
plans have changed. Got a different job coming up here in the summer after.
I appreciate it. So that means we can see you more often on Friday nights then.
For the next couple of weeks, we got a lot of stuff coming up with DK's wedding in the next.
Oh wow! Okay, DK, we wish DK very well, and we'll hopefully see you here on May 24th. And we're joined by Rob Maraska, who was alive during the Stone Age, and he's the Grim Reaper apparently of Sportswire Radio. And how you doing there, Rob? You were alive during the Stone Age, right? You were alive during the Stone Age.
Or the stoner age.
Are you saying you're a stoner? Now, I mean, I'm sure there are some people on this platform that might be considered stoners, but it's legal now in most parts of the country. Is it legal? Is it legal? Is it legal to not be a stoner, or are we still back in the I see that. Well, people seem to like it. I have 106 people are watching us. And what do you have in your hand right now? What is that? Coach.
This is a mellow fellow.
A mellow fellow. Now, something tells me that would not be confused with Mellow Yellow, the drink.
They literally named it Mellow Fellow.
And what is am I allowed to ask on this platform? What? And I should ask. I shouldn't ask. Or should ask. But what is a Mellow Fellow here?
Mellow.
Apparently, some fellow you take a puff out of.
It's
not me.
It's
that right there is some mid, Tom. That right there is some mid.
And that wouldn't be confused with like puffs when we talk about like cheese puffs that you might get like in a bag of chips, right? Wouldn't be talking about that.
Cheesy foods.
Well, our buddy DK is going to have to wait because we actually can only hold 10 people at the moment. So you're going to hang on tight for a little bit here because I'm curious about Mellow. What was it again? Mellow Fellows. And so how many of you had tonight?
In total of like the cartridges, this is like you just puff on this all day long.
Oh, he's puffing all day long. So kind of like Lionel Richie.
What?
All night long, all puff long.
He's too young for that, Tommy.
By
the way, I have something for you, Mr. Michaels, before we do let some guys maybe say sayonara. But a couple things here. First of all, for you, Mr. TBK, CJ Junn says, have you ever heard of queso?
I love queso. I got a jar in the kitchen.
There you go. You look like him, apparently. Also, Hillbilly Tilly says that he loves the Walter Payton jersey for you, Big T. Hopefully you get some reincarnations of Walter Payton coming up this season for those Chicago Bears. Somebody talked about shooting B-balls. I don't think Coach shoots B-balls. I think he shoots more at different people. Also, Mr. Michaels, the man that defeated you 2 weeks ago, Mr. Atomic Titan, who's here Monday night, by the way, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Cheap plug says, here to tell the trendsetter he got lucky last week, and also that maybe he's not pulling for you. He's pulling for Big T and the eating contest. Also, DK, we will have DK on in about 10 or 15 minutes. DK, come back in when we'll come back to the more regular talk. So, Mr. Michaels, obviously, you certainly am getting, I'm sure, not much support from your former nemesis there in terms of the eating contest.
Hey, it is what it is. The odds stacked against me. I will prevail.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm positive, 100% guaranteed. Joe Namath
You
is
look
saying
lost.
people right now.
He's going Joe Namath.
This is a
All right.
guarantee.
I was surprised you even knew who Joe Namath was. I mean, Rob Maraska probably remembers like when the one time the Jets won a Super Bowl. He was probably
That's
there,
right.
like he was probably like probably working at that time. He was probably like in the stand for the Super Bowl. Were you there at the Super Bowl when the Jets won?
Yeah, I was working. They lowered the age to 6.
Well, in New York, listen, in New York, considering the way New York is, I'm sure there were 6-year-olds working at that time. I'm sure now in this day and age, there are 6-year-olds working in New York somewhere in the sweatshops of 8th Avenue in Brooklyn. Ooh, I shouldn't have said that, but that's probably true. But the point is that DK would like to say for you that you're not the guy when it comes to the eating contest. So he just wants to let you know that. So
It sucks because I am that guy.
you are that guy.
Debatable.
Debatable.
DK is not one to lie.
Well, we'll have him here find out.
Yes, anybody can eat it. Anybody can win an eating contest. Depends on what you're eating.
But would you like? Now, Coach, would you like to be an eating contest? Future guest on Sportswire? That's something you desire. I mean, how about you and Craven Rage in an eating contest?
Why? So
I'd
he
blow
can
him
that
out the
many
water.
fucking wieners he can shove in that glory hole in his mouth and his mask? Like what the fuck?
I'm sure
this man Craven, he might be on one tonight, man. He's talking about sexual innuendos.
But I want to say hello to one of our listeners out
You
there.
looking like somebody that would mouth fuck a pie, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, you know what? We're going to move on from that because we're talking about. I think we're turned into the Whack Pack here rather than Sportswire Radio. I want to say hello to one of our listeners out there in the friendly confines of Midwood, Brooklyn, Angela Pink. She's happy to see Scooby's back. She's happy to see the talk, and I'm sure everything else in between. So good stuff there. So maybe we'll see future eating contests. Also, is that cigarette refrigerated? I believe that cigarette.
Gotta keep the cigs cold. I
didn't know that cigarettes could be refrigerated, but I'm learning things on the fly on Sportswire. But then again,
back in the day, Rob might understand this. People back in the day they used to throw cigarettes in the freezer, so the whole cart in the freezer. Yep.
It used to keep the tobacco fresh.
Well, listen here. All right. No matter who it is, whether it's Chris Craven, the trendsetter, Alan Michaels, no matter who it is. My client here, Big T, after he takes home this W, he's willing to face anybody. Double or nothing. Doesn't matter. He says anybody can win the eating competition. I say otherwise when it's versus Big T. Not versus my client.
Scooby, hold on.
I put money on Big T. The motherfucker looks like he could eat fucking whole football team.
Scooby, I'm gonna have to.
I'll never bet against him.
I'm gonna have to take you up on that. Double or nothing. I've got Michaels on this.
May I ask, what is your daily food?
Why? Because he's a trendsetter?
What do you eat? Like 12?
Nah, I've got Michaels on this one.
Like 8 burgers for lunch? What do you have? Like 2 pizzas for dinner, and maybe for dessert you might pack it in with, I don't know, like 4 Snickers bars. There's the king size version. What is your regular, meal routine like?
I feel
you talking about me, Tom?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I just eat a lot throughout the day. Like I eat a bunch of different times throughout the day. It's usually right before bed. It's like which is obviously really unhealthy, but it's one of my favorite foods. I get 3 packs of ramen basically every single night before I go to sleep.
That's 6 servings.
Good
Wow.
Lord.
I got money on Alan Michaels, dude. I've watched Alan Michaels.
Intimidation.
So
I've watched
basically what
Alan.
he's telling you is he trains regularly all year round.
Wow.
I've seen him
Trains for
successfully do the Blaze
apparently for an eating
time on the
contest,
clock.
TBK, on May 24th, 10 p.m. Eastern time, which I hope people will be here for. Atomic Titan wants to say it's May 24th is the eating contest. And, for you, Rob Maraska, Angela Stevens here. Who is Angela Stevens? I have no idea, but you look good for your age. I didn't realize.
All right, Rob. All right, Rob.
Good for your age there, Rob.
Nice.
I didn't know I didn't. I guess you're pushing AARP status. Is that what it is?
She wants you to tell what it was like back in the Jesus days, man. She wants a history lesson.
Rob was around when AARP only had one A.
It was double A. Like I said, you guys laugh. You guys never saw the Jets win a Super Bowl. You guys don't remember the Mets winning the World Series. And you guys didn't see the Knicks win a championship. I did see those things. So,
well, the Knicks lost tonight, so the Knicks still may be having to figure out if they're going to still win a championship. The Jets, that may never happen in anybody's lifetime. And you mentioned the Mets, and that may never happen in anybody else's lifetime. So yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to be a relic. I mean, you're going to be one of those people we'll see in the museum that remembers like when people won big things.
But Chris remembers when the Mets won the World Series.
Yes, 80, the 86 one, not the 69.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that in history class, but I mean, I didn't know that I didn't see it live. I mean, I heard about it, but I mean, I'm sure the good news is that on May 24th at 10 p.m. Eastern time, people will remember that evening they were here for the first ever Sportzwire Radio competitive eating contest where Alan Michaels is going to try to change lanes and go up against Big T and, the eating contest. Everybody's talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I'm worried about Alan Michaels and Big T. I want to see.
My money's on Alan Michaels.
That's where my money is at.
The reason why I'm saying that, I've seen Alan Michaels eat.
I've
seen Tennessee backyard wrestling. Wait. Are you saying that because you walked back at the Tennessee backyard wrestling and you try to pull the homer?
Nope.
No.
Listen,
nope.
I'm putting food down regardless.
It's
I think this is what it comes down to, man. Big T's got that dog in him. That's what it's going to come down. Big T's got that extra strive. He's got when it gets down to it, and you're both struggling because everybody's talking now. But as soon as it's
compared to Alan Michaels, he's a poodle.
Now, I want to know. This is what I want to know. This is what I want to know. We'll get to sports. I promise you, we'll do a little bit of sports. So here's my question, though. People when they go out and they go play a football game, right? They go watch tape, right? They go watch tape of the previous week, the teams they played against. If you're a wrestler, you watch your opponent's matches. If you're a baseball player, you watch tape of previous at bats. You're a basketball player, you watch all this different tape. I'm gonna get to Dustin Alexander in a second. Our Resi hardcore and world champion. But when you're an eater in a competitive eating contest, what do? Do you watch eating footage of your previous day's meal? What do you exactly do when it comes to preparing for your actual eating event? I mean, what do you do? What's the scouting like? Can anybody help me out there? Because again, I've never heard this before.
This is what you do right now on my phone. I can pull up the McDonald's app. I have 8,500
Oh, you must have that on
points.
memory. You must have the McDonald's menu on memory. You must remember top to bottom all the menus.
I got 8,500 points on there. Big T, how many points you got McDonald's app?
Ooh.
I don't use the McDonald's app.
I rest my case. A real eater has every single fast food app because I like to save money. Buy one, get one free quarter pounder. Sign me up.
I know I got James Taylor's here, but unfortunately, I can't fit any more people. He'll come back on in a little while. But the point is, what is 8,500 points equivalent to for McDonald's? What is that?
A free quarter pounder, right there. That's a free $5.
That's 8,500 points get you.
Hey,
boy,
you pair it up with really bad get one that's free sandwiches for like $5.
If this economy is getting you 8,500 points for a quarter pounder, God help us. That's all I can say.
We see that's what you guys can talk all you want, man. Personally, I know Big T has a trigger. He's got that song. As soon as you put that song on, it's game over. You get him with the earbuds in. He's not worried about you. He's not looking at you. He's worried about what's in front of him.
Disqualification if he has earbuds in.
No.
I got a couple of.
He didn't make the contract.
I got a couple of eating comments. Alan Michaels can't finish a Happy Meal from Dustin Alexander. Buddy is washed. Also, I didn't know Jack Delta ate 30 slices of CC's pizza before. Can anybody confirm this on the stream? If anybody was in a locker room with Jack Delta, Dane Davidson and Alan Michaels, can you guys confirm that about Jack Delta, the destructive Jack Delta? No?
I cannot confirm anything. I was not there for that.
6,000 points for the quarter pounder once upon a time. Okay. All right, you know what? Let me get you a couple. I gotta put some guys back on and some guys out. Mac 10, you got anything else?
I'm gonna hop off, Tom.
Yeah, I'm good. I got you,
I'm
brother.
gonna see you later. I'm gonna let you bounce. I'll see you next Friday. Thank you, Mac 10. I'll put that clip up. I'm gonna now bring on DK, and we got some other guys here hanging out. So DK, my condolences on the Nashville Predators, by the way.
It happens.
Anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to say?
No, it was a good series, but we'll get them next year.
Do you think it'll be just as good as the eating contest coming up between Big T and Alan Michaels 2 weeks from now?
I mean, it's gonna be like the Rangers and Capitals 4-0 sweep for Big T. So I'm not really worried about that 7th seed Alan Michaels up there. So.
And thank you to Angela. Angela actually just reshared us on Twitter, so thank you, Angela, for that. She is telling everybody to watch the show. And want to say hello to a couple of other people. Our buddy, Mr. Aaron Jones, the VTW champion of the world, and he is also a major part of things over in DBW. Howdy, fellas, and how you doing there to the real boss man himself? And hope to see you back on the platform maybe in the next month. And Aaron Jones, always one of my favorites. And I know he's not competing in the eating contest because he knows he's going to let the professionals handle that. And I will get to the Rangers, Joe Dell, in a few minutes. How you doing, Joe Dell? The legendary Joe Dell. Also, Joe Dell says, hey, guys. Joe, but does Joe look like this? I want to know. I got another question. Joe Dell, do you look like that photo? Does anybody know if you look like that, Joe, in that photo?
Well, he is my cousin, so I know what he looks like.
I have a great question, though. I got a great question for everybody.
My boy Gringo in the chat.
Yeah, I want to say, are we doing DraftKings, FanDuel for this? I know we've gotten really big on Sportzwire, but we have like 15 new subscribers on YouTube in the last week, and I have like 10 new subscribers on Instagram in the last couple of days. But is there an eating line on this? Like, what would be the number? What would be the plus on?
Who's the favorite?
I think Big T. Off of what we've seen so far, I think Big T would be favorite. But after hearing the two people saying tonight they got Alan Michaels, I think this line's coming a little bit closer than what it was looking a week or two ago. So I'm going to say minus 110 Big T, plus 100s in the range for Alan Michaels. Let's say he's the money line right now.
And Mac 10 wants to say, I shouldn't repeat this, but I will. Let's see if I can get the human garbage disposal in the eating competition. I'm not sure who he's referring to, but I'm sure that would be a lot of food if it was a human eating garbage disposal or human garbage disposal. So
is it an open competition? Like, can other people?
I suppose. So I think what we've basically got to, and also Aaron Jones actually said he actually used to train for competitive eating, by the way. The real boss man, the VTW champion of the world. I didn't know he was in addition to wrestling WWE legends, he actually also is trained for eating. Maybe I should let him. That's a good question, though, Chris. I think it's supposed to be Alan and Big T in the contest for Crystal's Burgers. Should I open it up to other people that would compete? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know, actually. I don't know. These gentlemen, what would these gentlemen want?
Well, they have a bet. Remember, they have a bet going.
Rob's right. They got a bet on this. So I think they got to stand, get the contract in place.
Yeah.
Like we get it rolling.
And Aaron Jones is funny. He said the diet won't let me. Yeah, no, I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to be a competitive eater. The Joey Chestnuts of the world and everybody else that's out there. I always think about the Simpsons episode when Homer was in an eating contest and he was eating the food and the guy wound up eating and he ate himself to death. Like he ate a big steak. He was trying to eat it and he just dropped dead. So I would hope that we don't have it on the air. But I guess a good question. I don't know if it's an open-ended contest. I don't know. It's a good.
Should we have like paramedics at their houses just in case if something bad happens?
Well, it's a good question. I don't know. Hey. Do we know any actually, we should have paramedics because after all I did on Tuesday's show was blast two guys who literally were in a wrestling match that should never have been in a wrestling match. One guy hit him with a baseball bat in the head. The other guy got hit with a license plate. so. Maybe we should have paramedics on all Sportzwire Radio. We had a guy yesterday who was drunk on the air. Another guy in Xavier Thorne who was on the bathroom doing a number 2. So, maybe we should have paramedics and EMTs. But, it really happened. It really happened on Sportswire, and people seem to watch these things. They seem to like it. But I have a bunch of comments here, which people seem to really want to hear this one. If Alan Michaels wins, I'll give him a shout at my hardcore. You got pressure now, Alan Michaels. You win the eating contest on May 24th. you get a hardcore title shot there. So does that make you now really want to be a hardcore eater? Stay hardcore?
Stay hardcore. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I'm winning because I ain't finna dress in no damn Bears outfit. I'd love to see Big T in green and yellow.
So let me get now. Correct me if I'm wrong. The following week, we're going to see one of you guys in the other team's uniform. Correct?
Correct.
Yes, you will see Mikey in a Chicago Bears uniform.
You will see Big T.
But we won't see you in a Green Bay Packers jersey, just in case.
Oh no, I won't lose. I promise. I promise.
Hey, I got a Reggie White jersey for you to put on.
Awesome. You're gonna keep it short in there a while. Trust me.
Is there a possibility of a tie by any chance?
No.
What if there is a tie?
We have to have some type of sudden death, right?
There's not going to be a tie. Trust me.
So in the NHL, you know, DK will know this, because he was at the playoff games. In the NHL, you have a shootout. Obviously teams till whoever scores the most goals in a shootout. So we have like a shootout or maybe a burger out. I don't know, whatever you call it, a cookout. I don't know what you'd call it, but maybe you guys each have a burger or two, or you have 1 minute to eat the most.
I think if we end up going to a tie, we hop on the sticks in Madden and run it. Whoever wins. He gets the Bears, I get Packers.
I don't think you'd be able to, after the amount of burgers you eat, I don't think you'll be able to run to anywhere but the toilet.
Mikey, I got an idea for the tiebreaker. If there is a tie, supposedly somehow there's a tie, 1 chip challenge, first to grab a drink.
All right, bet.
That's a good one. That's a good one. It's clever. I think I'm with that there. And remind me.
That's a bold one there.
Remind me again. And how many Crystal Burgers are in this again that I'm purchasing for you?
It's 24 a piece. It'll be 48 in total.
Okay, so you will
Crystal's
got this off the air, and we'll take care of this during the week. But make sure you both have 1 box each to eat, and then we're gonna obviously time this, right? Are we timing this again? What's the official rules for this?
I don't think we're time.
Don't put a time on it.
If we put a time on it, Big T's money line going up.
All right, so let's see. All right, so what we'll do is you'll both have the box of burgers. We'll start it, and then we'll see
15-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll figure that out. Well,
wait, how big are these Crystal Burgers? Because you're saying 24.
I mean, they're like the size of your hand.
Are they a Big Mac?
Like no. They're like sliders.
Oh, okay.
White Castle? Are they like White Castle?
Yeah, they're like White Castle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
White Castle. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Like White Castle.
Yeah, when you said 24, I'm like, holy.
I can pop a Crystal in my mouth, no problem. Just
as long as you're not popping Crystal Method on the platform.
No, whoa, Tyler, whoa.
Well, I gotta make sure because I had a guy last night on the show drunk on the air. He pulled the Scott.
I thought you was about to say you had a guy on some crack on here. I was like, dang.
No, he was drunk at a bar. He was gonna get thrown out of the bar, but instead I was like, let me do you a favor. I'm gonna throw you off Sportswire instead. How's that? And it was basically like
I got a question for you.
Buddy's
Tom.
living.
He's living the dream.
So, what was the story about someone using the bathroom while on Sportswire? You gotta tell
us. No, I know we have some guys here like Bob and Chris who TBK's with us here. TBK is another fellow podcaster, and we had a guy, Xavier Thorne, an interesting fellow. I happen to like Mr. Thorne, and he was on our show. He actually interrupted another wrestler named Jacoby, and he was trying to talk, and what wound up happening was he was on the toilet while he was, obviously interrupting the other individual. Yeah, I know. It's really true. It really happened on this platform. And there was somebody knocking on the door, and he was on the toilet. And then all of a sudden, he's like, I got to go. So what happened to me, it sounded like, is that he was on the toilet. He was trying to talk for a few minutes, trying to get something in while he was doing a number 2. And he was off the air, and then that was it. It's really happened. This is what people want to see on Sportswire. They don't want to see interviews with soccer coaches who coached in America. They don't want to see guys who played in the Final Four. They don't want to see the top wrestlers in the world. What they really want, they're really coming here for these days is guys doing a number 2 and guys drunk yesterday. Another guy wrestling on a mat in the ground somewhere and nearly killed somebody. That's what they're coming to Sportswire for. So it's almost like, I guess I have to be like Vince McMahon once upon a time and and just embrace the attitude era. We're embracing the debauchery on Sportswire because it seems like it's giving us the ratings. One guy calls himself the Grim Reaper. You got Scooby Stoney who's getting Scooby snacks on the air. You got Great American here, and Great American drinks his Mellow Fellow, and you got burger eating contest and DK's in the background. What the hell did I just get into? And Mac 10 was talking about human garbage disposals. Coach Chris Craven was talking about shooting people. I mean, this is what people want to see. I don't know. I can't help it.
It's a pretty lively week.
It's been a lively week. But, business is up. I mean, subscribership is up, viewership is up, engagements are up. So I guess people seem to want it. And
Mom, I have a question for you.
1964 New York Mets. Yes, they played in the All-Star game, right?
Do we have more subscribers than the Staten Island Advance yet?
You know what? I'm gonna get back to you on that because I would say give me a week. I would say in the next week we'll probably have more subscribers than them because after all, their subscribership is literally in the toilet, kind of like after Alan Michaels when he has all those crystals next week. So yeah, I would say within the next week we should have more subscribers than them. That'll work. I can tell you that we definitely have more. We definitely have more on Facebook than the Advance.
I saw something on ESPN before I hopped on here, but I'm gonna let Rob Morosco, go ahead.
Morosco, not Morosco.
My fault,
Right.
Morosco.
Excuse me.
My fault.
Morosco. Hey, yo, hey.
You know what?
Morosco.
I'm gonna let the Grim Reaper announce.
Just call him Mr. Reaper.
Yeah, Mr. Reaper.
What would you
It's
like
a very
to
fitting
ask
name.
Alan Michaels? What would you like to ask Rob?
I saw there's a death in the baseball community. I saw, or not baseball, or
No, it wasn't a baseball community.
It was baseball.
Yeah, it was Sean Burrows who played. He played for the Padres.
Jeff Burrows' son, Sean Burrows. He was 43. He played. He had a cup of coffee in the majors. He played.
Was James Taylor still older than? Was James Taylor older than him? Oh.
James Taylor.
He's one of these guys. Know him. Two of the guys, and TBK definitely knows him.
James Taylor.
It's a wrestler that comes on our platform. Three guys got the joke. Three guys got it. And Atomic Titan definitely knows. Atomic Titan definitely knows who I just mentioned. But yeah, 43. What did he die of again?
Heart failure.
Right on the field too, right? Watching his kid.
No,
play?
he was in his car. He dropped his son off at. Yeah, he dropped his son off at Little League practice, and they found him in the car. But remember, he had drug problems that he overcame in between his stints between the Padres. He was off for a couple of years, kicked the drugs, came back for a cup of coffee, and retired. But
oh my God,
who knows?
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. My condolences. Hopefully. Hopefully, Alan Michaels, you don't have to ask Rob Morosco a question next week on the show about another death.
Yeah, really. Well, we had that one stretch of Hall of Famers dropping like flies, if you remember, Tom.
I do, yeah. Well, I remember during COVID, there was like a death every day for baseball players. It was like, and then I was listening to your show, Patrick and Chris, with the Talking Rivals, and Willie Mays is 93. So you don't really.
Amazing.
It's crazy. Willie Mays is 93, but Sean Burrows is dead at 43, who was a top prospect, if I recall, at one point, and then never really caught on. His father was Jeff Burrows, who had a decorated career, if I'm not mistaken.
He was an American League MVP.
Oh, he was probably an MVP kind of around the same time James Taylor was an MVP in wrestling, right? Like in the 70s or 80s.
He was in the 70s.
Oh, I'm going to get it. But we love James. I'm just joking here. But yeah, Atomic Titan's probably loving what I just said. But, he's having fun on Sportswire. But yeah, Jeff Burrows was an American League MVP, right? Texas, right? Was he with Texas?
Yeah, with Texas. He was with Texas, yep.
And Sean Burrows played for about 10 years, surprisingly.
Yeah,
I remember Sean Burrows because he played in the 2000s. I definitely remember him for a little bit.
Yes,
he was a prospect, played, but never really caught on, if I recall correctly. He
got the first walk-off hit for the Padres in Petco Park.
Wow, okay.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
Petco Park's got to be like 20 years old now, then, about.
Yeah, I think it was like 2008 or something around there.
Oh, wow, okay. Wow, Petco Park is old. That means City Field ain't too far behind, huh? So now I guess
City Field's already, and the new Yankee Stadium too.
So I guess in 5 years from now, we gotta get them. So I guess in 5 years from now, we gotta get them a new stadium because I read today for the football fans that they're renovating the Jacksonville Jaguars stadium, and I thought that was just a new stadium recently. So
man, I was convinced they were going to London for the longest time.
Maybe they should move to London. Maybe they can, so they can have the tea and crumpets. Maybe they can be the, Tony Khan's all big with AEW. They're in AEW and then Wembley. Maybe we could just put the Jaguars there instead. Tea and crumpets for everybody. But obviously, okay, I think we've got the point. I'm going to get to a couple of comments. Maybe ask you guys about some sports because after all, we're a sports show, right? I mean, we should talk for a few minutes on sports. But also, what if the person has to go to the toilet? Do they lose?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically, that would be in my favor because I think Mikey has IBS, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, this guy.
I'm sorry, Mikey.
That's crazy.
We're not talking about the Sportzwire. We do not want to certainly
Go ahead and lower the money.
IBS. That is a very serious thing. Irritable bowel syndrome. There are some listeners right now who might have irritable bowel syndrome with this platform and who has come on, but we're going to certainly not discriminate against those who have irritable bowel syndrome. And yes, that could be true.
If you do, they should have like a bucket with them
see a
just in
doctor.
case.
You definitely want to seek medical attention because you might want to seek medical attention from some of the recent guests that we've had on this platform on Sportswire Radio. So one guy was in a mask who said he wasn't going to be in the Hall of Fame, came back on the next day and said, "Just kidding, I want to be in the Hall of Fame." And honestly, I really think my life should be stand-up comedy rather than Sportswire Radio. But gentlemen, a lot to get into here. First, I'm going to go say hello to Scooby Stoney because Scooby, it's been a while for you. And, your New York Rangers are up 3-0, and you got to be a very happy man. And it's good to see you here for the next few weeks and talk about how you're feeling right now at those New York Rangers before we talk with these other guys here. We'll just let everybody hang out at this point. So, TBK, if you want to hang out, Shane Davidson, you want to hang out, it's Friday night. It's certainly, getting near the witching hour, so get ready for it. But, Scooby Stoney, what do you want to say about those Rangers?
I'm ecstatic. Couldn't be feeling better. You know what I mean? Couldn't write it up better, as far as getting the Caps first round. Like I said, that was a matchup that probably wanted out of all the playoffs teams to get the Caps 4-0 sweep. And then you're one game away from sweeping the Canes. So I think, as far as putting the puck in the net, they've been scoring a lot. Shesterkin's been lights out. So, all is good.
Who would you rather face or want to face, Boston or Florida?
Man, either one of them is going to be tough. Me and DK conflicted on this because DK thinks the Bruins going to win. I think the Panthers are going to win it.
Well, Boston swept Florida in the regular season. Everybody seems to forget that. Boston was 4-0 against Florida.
And I will say, from what I've seen in the regular season, granted, playoffs are completely different hockey than regular season and whenever you get to a 7-game series, but Rangers played pretty well versus Boston this year. And either one of those teams is going to be super scary if they get past each other. Like if the Boston get past Florida, then they're looking to go to the Cup. If the Panthers get past Boston, they're looking to go back to the Cup. So, I don't think I would prefer either one of them, but I guess I would rather play Boston.
Do you feel that the Rangers have to close it out in a sweep, or do you okay with losing one and just closing it out at home?
See, I was telling DK about that as well. I'm afraid of them losing a game just because I don't want them to lose any type of mojo. I don't want them to lose any vibes because some of these wins they have been getting have been last second, very scrappy.
Oh, game 2. Listen to the series, right? If you watched game 2, Carolina should have won that game. In game 1, even Rangers have the big lead, and Carolina comes back. So this has been a neck and neck series,
right? So I think with them pulling out games over and over and over that have been just scrappy, I think it just gives them more reason to be hot and have this vibe come off of them that they're just not going to lose. And I'm afraid if they lose one, they lose that vibe and they just lose mojo. But I don't think the Canes are coming back. I'm going to be real. But I'd rather see them sweep. Yeah, for sure.
For some of the hockey guys here, do you feel that the Rangers have to sweep? And we'll come back to some other sports, but do you guys feel that the Rangers have to sweep, or they could go back to Madison Square Garden and still close it out, and for Carolina can't come back here?
You know what? I'm on the side of I'd rather be playing a couple of extra games and not have that time, that extended time off. Like, I don't want to be sitting for a week before I get to play, the next round. So if they lose a game or two, it's not going to be the end of the world. I think they're still going to beat Carolina. And then I would definitely rather play Boston than Florida. Boston doesn't seem like they have the firepower. And I think Florida's going to beat them anyway. So I think it'll be Florida Rangers in the conference final. But if they lose a game or two, I don't think it's a bad thing, is what I'm getting at. So
interesting you say that, and I'll let Rob and DK talk about it. Rob's a Rangers fan. DK is locked in, and that I always go back even to the Islanders. We swept the Penguins in 2019, and we had to wait because of a quirk in the schedule. Mm-hmm. We had to wait 12 days because Carolina and Washington went 7 games, and then the Barclays Center, when they were playing there, had an issue with the venue, and we had to wait like an extra 3 days to play in the series. And I felt that we never really recovered from that. So
yeah,
an interesting point that, for both of you guys, you guys think you want to close it out, or you're okay playing another extra game?
I mean, I'm okay if the Rangers play another game, but of course, you like to see them crush the Hurricanes and sweep it and just go through the whole playoffs and everything with wins. But if they don't win, I mean, they're not going to lose the series. So one game, 2 games, go back to the Garden, whatever is fine. Chris does make a good point, though. Sometimes when there is that big break in between series, that isn't always good. That
you lose momentum. Listen, I mean, I think in sports altogether, when you have a long break, you want to keep playing. We talk about in the NFL sometimes. We're NFL fans. Sometimes, you have that extra week delay of teams come back in the divisional round. They don't play as well. Look at the 49ers this past year, right? They didn't play great in those divisional games. They didn't play certainly great against Green Bay. Green Bay really should have had them, and the Lions game was what it was, and they had a lot of momentum. They were red hot, right? And they look at how about Baltimore, for example. Baltimore didn't really play that great, and they lost in the championship game. So sometimes you want to be able to have that momentum and keep playing. And I mentioned the Islanders in 2019. They swept the Penguins, had 12 because of a quirk, had 12 days off, and they came out and played a weird game in against Carolina in Brooklyn. The first game, lost in overtime, and never really recovered and got swept. For you, DK, obviously you've been following this series, and I want to ask a separate question about Carolina in a different way. Do the Rangers need to sweep, or they can lose a game and just come back and close it out in Madison Square Garden on Monday?
I think they can really go either way. I mean, 4-0 sweep, they do get the time off, but that gives you more time to prepare for the next round of the next teams. But if you lose a couple games, you're still active. You've still got fresh legs, going into the series a little more prepared. But either way, I don't see it being a problem for them. But I think whichever team comes out with the win in that Florida-Boston series is going to put up a dogfight with the Rangers.
I mean, Florida wins tonight. They're up 2-1. They've certainly taken control of the series. But again, I make the point, Boston swept Florida during the regular season. I think that Boston can still get back into that series, and Boston's been battle-tested. Let me ask you, for the hockey guys, a different question. I'll come back to the rest of the gang here in a second. Rod Brindamore, a lot's been talked about with his contract. A lot has been talked about his situation. That's a team the last 6 years had a lot of success in the regular season. Hasn't been able to get to a Stanley Cup. Had a couple of conference finals appearances, but just haven't been able to get over to that next hurdle. Is he out the door as Carolina Hurricanes head coach? Should Carolina, let's say, get swept? And what do you guys make of that?
I don't think so, because I think he's a proven winner. He's
Absolutely.
won a cup already, right? With them
as a player, but not as a coach.
Yeah, not won as a player, with Laviolette as head coach.
Yeah,
yep. In 2002, yep.
I don't know. I would hold on to him.
He's been coached there 7 years now, but again, they haven't got to a Stanley Cup.
I know there was rumors of him possibly going to Seattle to be with, because Francis, he was his teammate, right?
Yep, in Carolina.
So I had heard that, but I don't know. Does he really want to go out there? I'm sure he'd rather stay in
Oh,
Carolina.
I think he wants to stay, but
Yeah.
the owner might want to make a change. He doesn't want to pay him. It seems.
Right.
That's what seems to be the issue.
Man, if it comes out to money, right? I mean, if Carolina wants to, squeeze and not want to have to pay the money, I guess. But I wouldn't let that guy go. I think
I
he's a
agree
good
with
coach.
you. No question about it. But
Yeah.
I think that'll be, a story. But for you, DK, you think that they make a change as coach?
I don't think they should. I mean, Carolina's never really been a super hot team until here recently. Besides,
They had a long playoff
15
drought. They were
years
out of
ago.
the playoffs for over a decade before he took over there.
I think he's done a good job of building chemistry on the team and adding in players where they need to be, getting some goal scorers. And I mean, he's not running the team bad. I mean, they're losing games in overtime. It's not like they're getting 5-0. They're losing 3-2 games, 1-2 games. It's not like they're playing bad hockey and it's his fault. I mean, they're doing what they can, but like old Scooby Stoney said earlier, Igor's playing out of his mind right now, and it's kind of hard to beat that, even with the team they have.
He's eating a lot of Scooby snacks. And I think I made the point on one of the shows on Sportswire if Scooby snacks were such a thing. And I was told by, forget who it was, that Scooby snacks are actually sold in Walmart. But that's a different conversation for a different time. But we are on Sportswire Radio. I want to take a quick detour of the action and plug some guys here because I got a whole list of people I need to plug. We got the returning TBK, the host of the Be More Talkative podcast. You can check him out on Instagram, Facebook. He's got some shows that periodically play on our internet radio station. We've got the returning Scooby Stoney. A lot of people are happy about him back. He's here with us, obviously, for the next few weeks. Very happy about that. He is a part of the TSF Takes Group. He has his own YouTube channel where he plays some games. He also does some movie reviews. He does a number of different things. New York Jets fan, New York Rangers fan, Brooklyn Nets fan, everything else in between. Check him out. We've got Rob Maraska, who was around when the Stone Ages were active and the thing, and he was alive when the New York Jets and the New York Mets and the New York Knicks won championships. He's the Grim Reaper, self-proclaimed Grim Reaper of Sportswire Radio. We have DK, who's back with us. He's our resident hockey football guy. Chris Bezea does a great job with the Talking Rivals and the Liftoff Jets. Talking Rivals show is back in a rotation. We played the show today. We'll have it in the rotation throughout the weekend. Also, Big T, the odds-on favorite to win our first ever competitive eating contest. Look at that man's eyes. I would not want to mess with that man in the darkened alley next to a whole list of Crystal's burgers in his way. I would not want to mess with him and those burgers. He is also one of our favorites here. I was actually messaging him before we went on the air, and also the man that has always got a hot take or two. He is the trendsetter. He is trying to stay trendy. He is trying to stay hungry. He is the lean, mean eating machine. They may not call him lean, but he's definitely mean in the ring. He got the biggest win of his career this past Saturday at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling's Rampage 161. That is Mr. Alan Michaels. And my name, you've probably sick and tired of hearing by now, is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I may not be a player, but I do get more plays than any other wrestling talk show host shown around the way. And if you like to hear from us here on Sportswire Radio, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and our internet radio station where guys like Chris Bezea are heard and TBK and others have been heard in the past. And what do you got there in the background, DK? Do you have some I don't know, Pro Parade or something that I just saw? What was that about?
Like some Milo sweet tea. Like some
sweet tea. Well, I think Alan Michaels. Okay, there you go. Cheap plug for that. Go support that cause. And all right, so obviously we spoke a little bit NHL. I'm going to come to baseball in a second, but NBA playoffs. Big T, you were talking about those New York Knicks. Everybody's like, "Go New York, go New York, go!" But not so go tonight. But they're not the team I want to talk about with you. I want to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. And if you said to anybody the Minnesota Timberwolves would have won 2 games in Denver against the defending champions, people would have said maybe you would have had some of Shane Davidson's mellow fellows and maybe would have talked about some crystal method. But no, it's actually really happened. And what's your thoughts on the NBA playoffs so far? Knicks obviously taking L, but still up 2-1 against Indiana. But those Minnesota Timberwolves, I think, have to be the surprise right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Anthony Edwards is playing out of his mind. I thought the big weird thing about that series was you go in game 1 with everybody fully prepared.
Game 1 was from the tip off. The game was. I was watching some of the game after I was off the air, and it was like from the tip.
Yeah, I think it's just even crazier, man. The next game you go play, you don't have Rudy Gobert, and then it's even worse. I mean, I just don't understand how that makes sense. But Minnesota is hot. They're a team to watch out for.
Denver is going to get a game tonight, so it's going to be back to 2-1. So
I don't want to count out. I mean, don't get me wrong. And most of the teams that go up 2-0, usually it's going to finish out in their favor because obviously they're going to come back and play in Minnesota, which you never want to do something like that. But they did take away a game off of Minnesota. There is good potential they can take the second game off of them in Minnesota. If that series gets tied back up and goes 2-2, I got my money on the Nuggets, though, man. Anthony Edwards is playing great, but I don't know how long he's going to keep it up.
All right, Alan Michaels, I'm going to give you the floor because you're actually going to bounce here. You're going to certainly stay trendy, try to get ready for some crystals eating contest come up. So I want to give you the floor. Maybe if you want to throw a hot take in, and then we'll go for the rest of the show with that. But anything else you want to say, playoffs related, closing thoughts, eating competition thoughts, anything else you want to say, Alan, I turn it over to you.
When it comes to basketball, I really like seeing the Anthony Edwards on this crazy run. They didn't get a lot of TV time this past season. I think it was like 5 primetime games for the whole season.
We
really didn't get to see that much of Anthony Edwards and that Minnesota Timberwolves team. But I think they're going to take the Nuggets to 7, but I still think the Nuggets win. I think they make it close, though.
So you think Denver evens it up, gets another one in Minnesota, and then it becomes a best of 3?
Yeah, I do. I think he'll come down to 7. Because Jokic is still putting up triple doubles every single game.
And tonight they're gonna get one tonight. That's gonna give them momentum. And Knicks Pacers. What do you think there for the locals here in New York?
I think the Knicks take it. As much as I like Halliburton, as I like that Pacers team, the Knicks team, it's just a really good group of guys who work well together, group of friends that they bonded well together. And, Thibodeau's a pretty good coach. I think he can take them to the Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't think they're getting past Boston.
Cleveland beats Boston. You like anything there? Cleveland gets 1 in Boston.
As much as I like the Cleveland core, the Celtics are they're just outmanned. I mean, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps. I know the Celtics kind of banged up and all, but Tatum is that kind of guy that can just take an already pretty well-rounded Celtics team and just put them just above the rest, just because of how good that he is on his own.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to share before I let you go? Because I know obviously again you got to get ready for a number of different things here. So anything else you want to share?
Yeah, hot take. I think we should just go ahead and just write in the MVP slot for this season Jordan Love's name, because I think that's to be the MVP of the season, Jordan Love.
You always doing something. Alan Michaels, you are obviously always trying to stay trendy. You are certainly trying to goat your opponent coming up 14 days from now. So good stuff there. We can follow you on Instagram. We're actually going to put the banner up here because I have it right in front of me so people can remember to follow you. You can do all those links there. Sad Boy on SoundCloud, Music, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube. TSF Takes Alan Michaels on Twitch, Instagram. We'll certainly see you next week. Hopefully you bring the tail of the tape for us and where we're going to be. And obviously we'll talk about during the week, making sure you guys can make sure to pay for those crystals. And I'll talk to you next week, Mr. Michaels. And stay trendy and stay safe out there in the ring.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll see y'all next week.
Be easy, buddy.
That's Mr. Alan Michaels, who's getting ready for maybe the final days of his competitive eating career. But we're joined by the rest of the guys. Obviously, DK's with us here, Scooby. So, Scooby, for you, NBA, any thoughts on the playoffs before I go to the baseball guys?
A lot of great series going on. Not a big Knicks fan myself at all, considering I like Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
That's right. But I do have the Knicks winning the series. What's the other series we got going on? Boston.
OKC and Dallas is 1-1.
That's a great series right there. I don't know about that one.
Denver's about to beat Minnesota, so that's going to be 2-1 Minnesota. And you got Cleveland and Boston. Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell gets a much-needed series victory, and then they get blown out in game 1, but come back and get a nice victory in game 2. So that's 1-1.
I'll be that one guy. And say Minnesota closes it out, right? Say Minnesota gets one more, goes 3-1, and it looks good for them. I think Minnesota just has to come back and play well. That's it.
I think that game that they're going to play in the fourth one's going to probably, for that series, decide it. I think if Minnesota wins, I would agree with you. They've got the clear edge. But if Denver wins, best of 3, Denver's at home twice. I think Denver, to what Alan's point, they're okay. Cleveland, Boston, I think Boston's still got the edge. Knicks and Pacers, we'll have to see. I think Indiana is still very much alive in that series because Indiana really should have won game one. People seem to forget that Indiana choked away game one, so we'll have to see about that. And then I think OKC and Dallas is going 7 games. I think that, to me, clearly is a 7-game series. So I think
as much as I love Kyrie Irving, man, I would really like to see a Thunder versus Timberwolves next round, man. I would.
Well, I don't think the NBA wants to see that because they don't want the ratings for that. They want Dallas and Denver. I think that's what they want. They don't want to see OKC and Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota hasn't been to a conference final. By the way, they win their first playoff series since 2004 when George Bush was president. I mean, that's 20 years ago. I mean, people weren't even born. I mean,
I just think it would be nice to see maybe a new era. See some of these teams that are younger guys, younger cores.
Well, I think Indiana. I think if Indiana beats the Knicks, that's a mild surprise. Even the Knicks being back, the Knicks haven't been, in this spot in a long time. Cleveland without LeBron hasn't been in this spot since the early 90s. So there's still, I think, some things for any of the teams, with the exception of Boston and probably Denver because they're the champions. The rest of these teams, I think, are all new teams, but I think the league doesn't want OKC in Minnesota because they're small market teams, and they want Dallas
and wants a New York team in the finals or in a to keep going.
And I think in this case, because New York, the Knicks haven't been in a final and have been relevant in a quarter century, so I think that's what the league wants. And the league's got a TV deal coming up, by the way. That's a big topic in sports right now. The NBA's TV deal is up next year, and could be changing the face radically of sports. Amazon is looking like they're going to have a part of the package. ESPN's locked in, but right now there's a battle between TNT and NBC. That's a real interesting dynamic. And speaking of our wrestling, people here like myself and TBK and some others, WWE is locked in for 3 more months with Raw for the end of the year. So they're not going to just wait, and they're going to be still on USA for another 3 months. You have SmackDown and Raw for 3 months. On the same network together, and they'll go to Netflix. So that's an interesting point. But okay, good stuff with that. So DK and the NBA before I go to the baseball guys.
They all seem like a good series. I didn't think Cleveland and Boston series would be entertaining. After seeing the series, I think they really have a chance. They're not out of fight.
Okay, all right, good enough there. Okay, so let's go to baseball, and obviously I got a couple guys here. I'm going to go with TBK because the Baltimore Orioles, I always see him posting something on Facebook, and, Yankees-Orioles was a hot topic 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to let TBK have some minutes. I'm going to give him his moments about those Baltimore Orioles, about those birds, and he can tell us all about that for our audience.
Yeah, obviously, we got one of the best records in baseball right now. Really,
Gunnar Henderson, by the way. How about him? I hear him every time on the radio.
Gunnar is an absolute stud. One of the best draft picks that we've made, probably
in a long time.
In a very long time, yes. The team, except with pitching, which has always been a major struggle with the Orioles, that we've never looked better. I'm really hoping that we don't have a repeat of last year. We have got to stay on the gas right now. We're hot as can be. That being said, though, Craig Kimbrell, you got to go, bub.
Oh my God, Craig Kimbrell has been the topic. Chris has talked about him on his show with
Absolutely
Patrick.
Go.
We've mentioned him here. I've heard him mentioned on the show with the Pinstripe Chronicles, and Kimbrell. So, do the Orioles try to get a closer at the deadline, you think?
I would absolutely hope so. With Bautista still being out, you cannot blow games. That game that we just finished, the series that we finished before we played the Diamondbacks tonight.
Nationals, yep.
Yes, thank you. That game should not have gone into extra innings. And to have to reach that deep into your bullpen this early in the season. Not good. Not good.
Definitely not good. Definitely not good.
I know me and Chris were talking a little bit about Santander. What do you think, Chris? How's he looking? Because like I said, I understand the trade value there, but the guy's come up clutch for us in a lot of games here so far. So I don't I don't know if you want to let him go yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. But they're going to have to figure out the closer role.
Yeah.
One way or the other. The one good thing, though, with Baltimore is they have, a crap load of prospects, right? So they could definitely deal that. The A's are willing to trade, what's his name, Mason.
Yeah.
They're big time closer, but you're going to have to give up probably, 3 of your 5 top, prospects for him.
Right.
So, but I'm sure in another few weeks, probably by the end of this month, you'll see more teams, pop out that are going to be sellers, and you're going to be able to, pick and choose what closer you're going to be able to trade for. So, I think, listen, Baltimore is going to be fine because Cano is actually not bad. I like him.
No, absolutely not. I mean, and I do want to touch on Jackson Holiday real quick. I mean,
absolutely, yeah. I saw your Facebook talk about him.
There's nothing to worry about.
I agree. I think he will absolutely be fine. But to hear that, when he was sent back down, he's still struggling. I mean, you got to wonder if it like them bringing him up so early and him, getting that taste of the big leagues. It's like,
maybe,
well, kid, this is what you signed up for. And I just don't want it to be a confidence killer for him, because that's all anybody in Baltimore before the season got started could talk about is, are they going to bring up Jackson? Are they going to bring up Jackson? And then you have to
brought
wonder
him up and what happened. Yeah.
You have to wonder if the team was just like, okay, we'll bring him up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden just the performance, like your heart broke for him, because it was like, oh man, you could see it when every time he came to the plate, he was just dejected, and you could see it all over his face. That's a confidence killer for a player. That's not something you want.
No,
absolutely no. I think that's it.
And I think he'll bounce back in AAA. I think he'll get the confidence back. It's just a matter of time. I mean, that kid is he's blessed. I mean, that guy's got talent. I think he's going to be fine. He's only 20 years old. So
speaking of people sent down, I think I read that Jose Abreu was getting almost like an extended evaluation. He was something like 4 for 56 or something. I mean, I was like, really? I mean, like,
he's been bad for over a year, because last year he was bad too. So this year,
I was listening. I think it was on MLB Network. They had loudouts, and they were talking. I was like, really? Wow! He got like he sent down to extended spring training. I mean, boy, that's
Now you got to remember, he has to okay that, right? If he wanted to, he could have said, "Nope, I'm staying right here." But he okayed that, since he's he's got
you got the service,
so, but yeah, no, he's been really bad. So you may not see him again because he was that bad. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have to bring him back up, because I think he'll force the team to do it.
Back up, yeah.
But I mean, his money's guaranteed, so he doesn't care about that. But I think he's got another year left too.
But Houston, again, I know they were hot last week, but they've come back to the Yankees, obviously, sweep them, and going into today, 14-24, and I don't know. I mean, they're in a weak division, so they've obviously got they're still alive, but I think that's
division.
Yeah, but they're still only 7 back, because of normally you'd be, if you look in the American League East, you'd be more than a dozen games out. But you're alive, but you got a lot of ground to make up.
I know. That's why if they have another bad month, I mean, they're gonna become sellers.
Oh,
absolutely.
I mean, they're saying they're not. Their GM has come out and said that, and we're not going to be sellers. We're going to be fine. But they have to have a really good month. I mean, what'd you say? They're 8 under, 7 under,
10 under now, 10 under.
Yeah, so they got to make up those games, and then you still got to catch the teams in front of you, and that's going to be really tough.
And Minnesota had I think a 13-game winning streak, and you guys were talking about it on the show today. Minnesota was hot. They've come back into play in the American League Central, and Kansas City's still been above water. Tigers, obviously we're playing well. Yankees took care of them. Yankees win tonight 2-0 and stop the Rays. Rays sweep the Mets, ironically, but almost everybody right now in baseball is around 500. Mets lose today to Atlanta. Philadelphia has been, just to me, the story right now. Philadelphia has played like a crazy amount of home games. They're like something like 15-7, or though it's 18-4 at home or something like that. They've won like 13 games in a row at home. And Milwaukee, everybody was kind of down very well, and then you got, the Cardinals. Everybody has been a big disappointment with them. And, obviously then you got the National League and, the Giants, I think we talked about last week, disappointing. Diamondbacks lose today. They're still under 500. Padres, but, a lot of mediocrity. And, obviously I'll go to Rob Maraska, then to Chris, and we'll, move on to a few other things. Rob Maraska, JD Martinez mired in, a couple different things that we saw with Contreras, and, Mets come back home today. I guess, again, kind of like baseball, everybody else, Mets get swept in, Tampa, but win 2 in St. Louis, get a postponed game, and they played a game today. By the way, in New York, I know the weather's been bad for some of the guys in Tennessee out there, and my absolute, thoughts and prayers. I was telling Alan this off the air. The weather, I know, has been terrible where you guys have been. It's rain and nasty winds, but here in New York today, it was like winter. It was ridiculous. I mean, 2 days ago, I'm in shorts and a T-shirt, and I was out in a coat, and the Mets played in this weather, and then the whole weekend's supposed to be terrible here in New York. Every weekend's terrible in New York. It's just, maybe we should just be called London instead of New York at this point, because every weekend rains. Every weekend's cold. It's like, give me something to go with. Give me some 75 degrees already. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. But I hope if you have Mother's Day weekend, it's indoor plans, not outdoor plans, because here in New York, it's going to be 55 degrees on May 12th. But there you go. Rob Maraska, give me your thoughts on the Mets.
Well, first of all, talking about the weather, I guess some people were talking about the weather and the stadiums, and Steve Cohen said that it would cost $800 million to put a roof on Citi Field.
Yeah, so that's not happening. Even if
he's
they
got the money.
Well,
yeah,
I think he's trying to get. They're trying to build a casino, I think, around where Citi Field is. Maybe with that money, when he gets from that, they can put that in there. But yeah, I don't think anytime soon that we're getting a retractable roof. I don't think so.
So, like you said, the Mets are really basically right now playing 500 ball. They got swept they got swept by Tampa Bay. Then they won 2. They swept the Cardinals because the third game got rained out. Martinez, let me tell you, Contreras, he was framing that pitch. They're framing those pitches. They're trying to get the calls, and look what this was bound to happen.
Catcher's interference has been really way up this year. I was listening to the radio. An absorbent amount of these incidents have been happening this year.
Yeah, and he breaks his arm with JD Martinez. He makes contact with Martinez's bat, and that's it. And let me tell you, I was watching that, of course, and the pain on his face.
I could imagine. I could imagine.
Oh, what a shot!
That's as painful as watching some wrestlers that have been on Sportswire recently. That's been as painful as a guy doing the number 2 on the show, and another guy that was trying to defend his wrestling, being hit. No, seriously, I have to bring it up. I mean, that's really it's as painful as watching some guys that have been on this platform here. I mean, not
yeah, and
guys
I think that just puts the nail in the Cardinals' coffin, because he was the only one hitting for the Cardinals. That's it,
Yeah, the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are going to have a long year, and are going to probably change managers, because they don't tolerate another 90-loss season.
And they're not used to this. They're used to 2 years in a row. That's not good.
They're like the Yankees of the National League in terms of they're always winning. They're always right up there. But yeah, the Cardinals are disappointment. By the way, the Nationals, Rob, were 500 for the first time, and over 500 for the first time in over 3 years now. Actually, just about 3 years. July 2021 was the last time the Nationals were 500. The Nationals are ahead of the Mets right now.
Yeah, I think our friend Rick Lewis is probably happy about that right now.
No, he's got to be a happy man. He's probably at a bar right now playing darts probably now.
But getting back to the Mets real quick, Christian Scott made his major league debut against Tampa Bay. He looked really good. Of course, the Mets didn't score any runs for him. He had a shaky first inning, gave up a run, and then after that, he looked really good. He had 6 strikeouts, gave up 5 hits in 6 innings. So he looks like, he's going to be the real deal. He looked really good, and let's just hope he doesn't become something like for the Mets hitters with DeGrom, where they score 1 run for him,
Yeah, I think, what was it, 10 wins and like a 1.8 6 ERA or something like that. The one of the Cy
Yeah.
Young years.
So,
Or 8 years.
so that's actually that's what's going on with the Mets, and they're going to be
Tough
playing.
week ahead for the Mets. They got the Phillies, they got the Braves. I mean, the Marlins are next week, but you got a lot of tough teams ahead right now currently.
Yeah, so let's see what happens with the Braves this weekend. But like you said, this weather is just crazy. It's
oh my
bad.
goodness! And, for you guys in Tennessee, it's just been horrific. And here in New York, every weekend, I swear, every weekend it's either cold or it rains. I mean, for you in Maryland, I'm sure it's the same thing.
Oh yeah.
We gotta get some warmer weather here at this point. I mean, at this point, I hope we get 100 degrees at this point and burn. But I'm sick and tired of wearing a rain jacket. But Chris, real quick, I'll come to you before I get a general thought from everybody else in sports. Yankees are looking good, and I think you said it correctly. I think it's going to be Yankees and Orioles. You and TBK are going to be battling out the whole year.
Oh yeah,
you guys seem to be head and shoulders above everybody else in the American League.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, Baltimore's got a really good team. They're young, so they're not going to go anywhere. And the Yankees, you know what? They're built to win this year. So I think it's going to definitely be between in the American League, the Yankees and the Orioles. The other teams, the Central's the Central. Cleveland's been okay. Minnesota
had the big winning streak. Yep.
Yeah, the West. Texas. Yeah,
Seattle and Texas have been okay.
Yeah, and I'm not counting the Astros out yet. I think give them another month. Give them about 3 or 4 more weeks, and we'll see how they are in the middle of June.
No, it's getting closer.
No, I agree. Listen, if they have another 2-3 bad weeks, they're done. But yeah, I love the Yankees, and now you got Judge starting to hit. Yep. The only guy that's really not hitting in that lineup right now is Torres.
Yep.
Torres has been in a season, for the first month and a half, he's been horrendous. I think he's like 210, 1 home run, 7 ribbies. That's not good. And it's his free agent year. So, I feel bad for the kid because, this is a year that he was going to, put up a big year and then, cash in.
It's like a few years ago when Conforto was in the walk here. He had an absolutely horrible year. Or Andrew Jones years ago. Yep.
So we'll see. Hey, listen, he's still got plenty of time to bounce back. I just think he needs to go to he needs to get out of New York. You know what I mean? I don't think he could handle the trade rumors, the free agency and all that. He gets too rattled too easy. I think he needs to go to like Seattle, Florida, just go to somewhere where the media is not on top of you.
Milwaukee. Yep.
Yeah, go there. I think he'll be fine because he's a good kid, but we'll see. But other than that, man, the team is rolling right now. The pitching has been great all season. And if you get good pitching, you're going to be in every game. So and then you add a good offense on top of that. You can have
the Yankees have been pretty consistent this year. You look at last year, they had the really good 2 or 3 weeks, but they never had a rhythm. This team has been, I would say pretty much, except for maybe like a couple games here and there.
Yeah.
Really consistent. You get the feeling that, the Yankees in Baltimore are just going to be head and shoulders above everybody in the East this year. Tampa Bay is definitely, not what they used to be. Toronto, I think you're hearing a lot of calls right now for the manager to be fired. Boston, I think, Patrick was talking about it with you, probably 500. But I think you and Baltimore, you and TBK are going to be competing for, definitely that division. I think that's the way it's looking to me all year. So
no doubt.
Those are things to talk about. You guys were also, I thought it was so funny talking about Javi Baez on your show with the Tigers.
So
and just, oh my goodness. Mets dodged the bullet.
Like, what happened to guys? Like, it's amazing how he fell off a cliff. Like, how about Tim Anderson, right? The last year.
Yeah, he was a batting champion.
What happened? And they're not even old, like they're not like 38 years old. They're still in their prime or at the back end of their prime.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just guys get figured out. Guys just, people get adjusted to them. I don't know what it is. Baez was just a good power hitter for a while. And, the Mets got him in at the deadline, but, he didn't bring him back. People had their opinions about, Anderson was a batting champion. He was, for a couple of years, one of the best pound for pound hitters in the league. And just seems like to have lost his skills overnight. I don't understand that. I just don't.
I don't get it.
I don't know. But yeah, Baez was just a power hitter for a while. I mean, he was just a good power hitter, and just, he just seems to have lost it overnight. Last year, 9 home runs, 59 RBI, I think 17 the year prior, and this year he's just, he got 1 home run already. So, Tigers, who are already starved for offense, definitely are needing in his, his bat to pick up, and they're at 500. And the Royals have been still a good surprise, but mostly everybody's at 500. San Diego, obviously, you got the Giants are a couple under. Mets we spoke about. The Nationals, I think, have been a mild surprise. We spoke a little bit about Tampa Bay is at 500. Boston's at 500. We'll have to see what's happening. And I want to say hello to one of our buddies out there who I believe is in the great state of Maryland, Mr. Brandon Costelli. He's also a vlogger. He's an accomplished wrestler. He's going to be in the ring later today for our friends over Dominant Breakout Wrestling. He's going to have a match that's going to be an apocalypse, basically, the pun intended. He hope everyone's having a great. And last I saw Brandon, he was visiting museums. And he was taking pictures in different places. He loves to travel. He loves to tour. And hopefully one of these days he goes on a road trip to New York City so I can meet him. And Brandon's one of my favorite guys. And hope if you're out there, go subscribe to his vlog. All right, so obviously, in the interest of time, let's go to everybody and get one sports story or one other thing you want to get off your chest. I'm going to go with you, Big T. And I know I'm not talking about Crystal's Burgers to scour and, scarf down. And is there one story you want to share and talk about before we sign off for this evening?
Man, I think the 2 big robberies in the NBA this year, I think everybody got to see firsthand that I think Wemby definitely should have won Defensive Player of the Year. That's just my humble opinion. As for the MVP, man, that should have been Luka's. I mean, if Luka doesn't win it this year, I don't know if he's ever going to get a Most Valuable Player award. I really don't. They should have been this year for him.
Absolutely, considering that the team that they had this season and considering what they were able to do, and he put that team on his back, no question.
Absolutely.
That's a good story. Good one there. We'll obviously see, but maybe he'll have the last laugh, and maybe Dallas will have a go into the conference finals and a deep run. Maybe Kyrie will actually be on a team once again where he'll get the last laugh over Kevin Durant. And by the way, it looks like the Phoenix Suns are going to be looking for a new coach. By the way, Frank Vogel is out, and you want to talk about dumpster fires? Phoenix very well could be that dumpster fire. Boy, what a last tough couple of weeks in Arizona sports. You got the Arizona Coyotes deactivated. You got the Phoenix Suns basically deactivated from the playoffs. You got the Arizona Diamondbacks, who a lot of people thought would have a much better start to the season, are basically mired in mediocrity. And oh, by the way, there's the Arizona Cardinals. They're pretty much starting the whole season and year deactivated. So basically, if you're an Arizona sports fan, you're just permanently deactivated. Maybe you just go on a permanent vacation, kind of to quote the Aerosmith album, because basically your sports teams have pretty much done that for you.
Yep.
And somebody liked my comment. D'Angelo Flame said, KD back to OKC. Yeah, I don't know. I know Bob was going into our Hall of Fame to join some of you guys this Thursday. Yeah, I don't know if OKC would even want KD at this point. I don't know about the whole Phoenix situation. All those players there and all little success. He had the one finals run, but since then, I don't know what's it going to take there with Phoenix. I just don't. Like I said, Arizona sports has basically been deactivated. That's just my story. It's not a joke. It's actually true. Because I said the Cardinals, when are they going to win? 4 games this year? 3 games. The Diamondbacks, I don't know what to make of them right now. The Suns are deactivated from the playoffs. And the Coyotes, again, they're not eliminated from the NHL. Their owner actually gets to attend all the meetings, gets to be a part of the league, but doesn't have players. He doesn't have a team, but they're deactivated, but they're not extinct. Still help me figure that out, somebody. But they have a land auction vote on June 27th, which might get them back in the league. But he only got $1 billion, which he still gets to pocket no matter what. But I'm going to move away from that because that's certainly going to be a story for a different time. DK, is there one sports story you're watching before we sign off?
I wouldn't say I'm particularly watching it, but the Tyler Boyd up for the Tigers. I don't know if he officially signed his deal yet, but I think moves them up one of the better receiving cores, or at least treated in the league right now. They're 1-2, but they're moving up with that pickup right there and adding some depth into the roster in the receiving room, getting Will Levis more weapons. It kind of turns a rebuilding year into a possible maybe wild card year.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good analogy. Basically, maybe you go from lottery to a maybe. It's a good point there. For you, Scooby, is there one story that you were watching that we didn't get a chance to cover that you want to bring up?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You see what I'm wearing tonight, Tom.
New York Giants?
Oh, no.
No,
never. We hate those guys. I haven't been on here since the NFL draft, and I will come on here and say in a completely non-biased point of view, I think the Jets had a great draft this year as far as checking boxes.
Carmen and Chris were talking about that last week on their show. Yep.
And getting things that we needed, like just checking all the boxes. And then we come out of there with a guy that DK and Big T have heard me rave about for like the past couple of years in college football with Braylon Allen. I mean, Jordan Travis. It's looking great. You know, it's a good day to be a Jets fan. On like we said, on paper, they're looking nice going into the next year. I cannot wait to see how this new O-line looks. Honestly, the expectations just keep rising for me, man. So I'm ready to get the season underway, see what's looking like with Rodgers at QB.
But remember, in the offseason, you don't win in the offseason. You got to win it in the season. So we'll have to see if the Jet momentum will actually. No, it's great. You know, I know
you know that all too well.
Yeah, that's my point. You know, there's been Jet years in the past. Oh, for sure, they're going to definitely go far, and you know, TBK is going to, you know, I'm sure get ready for a joke or two in October. What happens? Like, you know, it's true. Listen, that's the truth. The Jets haven't. Listen, I saw a stat, by the way, that the Rangers and Knicks this year have won 13 playoff games, right? And the New York Jets in their history have won, get this, 12 playoff games. So the Knicks, right? Just in this year, right? Whether you're a football, basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever, even if you're not a sports fan, right? To kind of comprehend that for a second, the New York Rangers and the New York Knicks just combined, this little postseason blurb, combined have won more games than in the entire 64 seasons that the New York Jets have played, whether it was in the AFL and now in the NFL as a part of the AFC. The New York Jets have only won 12 playoff games in their history.
And you know what? And you think about it, it's been kind of crammed into like 5 or 6 years because they made it to 5 or 4 AFC championship games.
Well, 4 since they won the Super Bowl. So 82, they won, 2 playoff games, right? Got 2 wins. Right. 98, you got the 1 win. 01, you got the 02, you got the 1 win in 02. You got the 1 win in 04. Then you had the years with Rex. You got the 4 wins with Rex. You got 4 there. Right. You got, like I said, 1 in 04, 1 in 02. That's 6. 1 in 98, 7. You got 1 in 86, right? You got 2 in 82. And that puts you at 9. You got the 3 wins in the 1 year they won the Super Bowl. That's it.
Amazing, right?
That's it. I just told you all the years of New York Jets. That's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing. I agree.
And you know how the league works, though, Tom. I mean, I guess it is just for every team, though. You know, I mean, you have historically your years of being down, and then you have all those opportunities to get all those draft picks, and you can turn it around after years of being down.
But the Jets have never had that, really.
That's what I'm saying. This could be it right here. This could be it.
Well, we'll see, Scooby. You know, we'll see.
I'm saying because
TBK is getting ready for the joke.
Terrible forever.
If this stops, no, it's funny.
Listen, it's going to come down to one player. It's going to come down to Rodgers. If Rodgers,
agreed on that. Yeah, if Rodgers is playing, I think the Jets will be back in the playoff
team. Yeah,
but if he's not playing, you know, it's we were great. Yeah, we had great offseason. We won the offseason.
We have Tyrod Taylor as our quarterback.
We saw that worked out for the Giants,
right? And then you still get Travis to develop. And Travis is a long way to go, right? But I mean, proven winner. So I mean, you're feeling good about it.
Feeling good right now, but we've got still about another almost 4 months until the season. So you know, we'll check back when we get closer in August. And also the season schedule will come out, I think, next week. So maybe for the football guys, we'll actually have some things to talk about on that note. So we'll see. But yeah, listen, it's to me, the New York Jets have won 12 playoff games in their history. 12. So, TBK, you got a story you want to share? It could be sports, wrestling, anything you want to share before we say sayonara?
Yeah, I just, good luck. And you said it's a great time to be a Jets fan. Don't worry, give it time. You got a whole season to be disappointed.
I was working on the joke. I told you.
But yeah, if Rodgers can make it to play number 5 this year, you guys might be all right.
See, I told you somebody's got my stand-up comedy. I mean,
But anyway, I digress. Look, the Ravens so far, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen this year. Really, out of the entire draft, the guy that I'm looking at the most is probably Nate Wiggins. Because I mean, hey, he's got big shoes to fill. The last guy that we drafted in a defensive position in the first round who made a serious impact was Kyle Hamilton.
Absolutely.
So you got some shoes to fill. So good luck to you, kid. And the last thing I'm going to say, obviously going back to the Orioles real quick, man, how great is it to see an owner that actually gives a shit about us? David Rubenstein has been, he's jumped in there with both feet. He you know, being there down in the seat level, sitting with the fans, taking over the role of Mr. Splash and doing that whole thing, shooting the funny commercials with Cal. He's showing that he wants to be here. It's reflecting to the team. The team's playing great. One thing I wanted to touch on too, sure. With the way that Colt Kauser is playing here lately, do we bring back Austin Hayes? I mean, it's crazy to say that a kid who's younger than me is considered a veteran, but he is a veteran presence, and I don't know. Austin is kind of starting to feel like a Mancini. You know, he's a guy that you like to have in the locker room. You don't want to see him go.
Yep.
But the way with Colt's playing, man, I don't know.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
True.
That's a really
I can see them making moves, and he might be a guy that they move out. You know,
I could too.
That's a good point. That's a good
There's
point.
so many prospects, and they still got the other kids coming up too. They got Kobe Mayo. He's another really good prospect. So
yeah,
it's crazy how many prospects they got coming up.
I think the point that TBK makes correctly is that they went from Angelos, who for so long, even when the team, they had that good run with Buck where they made the playoffs, had an LCS appearance, it was almost like didn't even want to be there. They didn't really do anything. Yes, they had a good 4 or 5 year window, but just didn't have, almost like Wilpon with the Mets, but maybe worse. It's because Wilpon every 7 years would kind of wake out of his groundhog shadow and kind of spend. But with Angelos, there was just a period where they did nothing here, and Joe Dell was mad about the Jets line that they made. But, you know, it's the truth.
I mean,
it's the truth. The Jets have only won 12 playoff games in their history. What do you want me to tell you? They haven't.
The thing about
let me tell you, they're the 49ers, where the 49ers have been to what, 9 Super Bowls now or something like that, and they've won 5. What do you want me to say? I mean, you know.
The thing about Showalter is, I mean, he was a name. He was definitely a name. He was a well-respected coach. The difference is, though, is I think Buck had his time when he came to us. And after us, he obviously kind of fell off a bit. Brandon Hyde, however, though, has not only come in and done a great job coaching, but it seems like he's changed the culture a little bit. Like
I think
every guy right now is playing with a fire under their ass, and they absolutely should be. And like I said, to see, as Chris keeps bringing up, the young, hungry talent that we've got by the damn bucket loads coming up and just showing out is insane.
I think this team could be a core for years, similar to what we've seen with the Dodgers and the Braves. You know, that team's that in the last decade. Yeah, Astros too. You know, I think that with those teams,
and their GM came from the Astros, so they're basically, you know, like the Astros now, like the way the Astros were 10 years ago.
That core, you know, that they had, you know, in the last decade, it was a good run, but they were above the expectations. This team is just only starting. They haven't even peaked yet. So this is a team that could be here in the top of the standings for years. I mean, they could be on the verge of an absolute run. And yeah, we'll wait till August. And Hillbilly Tilly, because he's from the great state of Alabama, wants to say that, yes, Jets historical have been mediocre at best. At best. Although they had an okay run with Parcells up until the Rex championship game, but since then it's been less than mediocre. And yes, a quarterback from Alabama who was born in Pennsylvania, who Rob Moroska was in the stands for at the was it Super Bowl? Correct me if I'm wrong, 4, right? Super Bowl 4.
He was reporting for the Staten Island Advance for the.
Probably was. That's probably when the Staten Island Advance actually had like. Almost the whole borough was a subscriber. Now they have like less than 1% of the borough. Even it's funny, the borough then had 200,000 people living on it. Now it has 500,000 people on it, and it has like less than 1% of the subscribers that they had then in 1969 or 70. And it's probably more of the Staten Island Advance is in the Fresh Kills landfill, which is now going to be a park, than it actually is people that actually read the paper. But that's a different conversation for a different time. Rob or Oscar, I'm going to go to you. You have one thing you want to share before we get to closing thoughts sports-wise, before I go to Chris and say sign off.
Yeah, real quick for the baseball guys too. What is going on this year with umpires in Major League Baseball?
Oh my God.
I mean, they are just terrible. They're making stupid calls. The strike zone's all over the place.
I heard everybody talking about that the other day. I heard it every day on MLB radio. I was listening to
the robot umps are coming.
AI, I heard AI umpires, and oh God.
Or at least the challenge system that they have.
Angel Hernandez must be their rep.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up real quick because just watching these games and then they don't know what they're doing, and they have to discuss something that they should not have to discuss. They should know this. You're a major league.
Didn't they go to a school? Didn't they go to a school? Are they supposed to be questioned in these situations and know them? I don't know.
So it's just this has been one of the beginning of this season.
I hope we don't have umpires like this in the eating contest between Big T and Michaels. I really hope that we don't have the same problem.
You're going to have to get an official eating contest referee.
I think Shane Davidson might be the guy because he had the mellow fellows and he seems to be, as high as a kite when he's on the air. So he could probably handle this.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and I'm looking forward to this contest.
I think a lot of people are excited. I've been pushing it to the moon. This week we had on YouTube. I think we had the most crazy. Before I got to Chris, we had the most views just on YouTube. The other pages were doing great, but the YouTube in the last 7 days, we had the most views on Sportswire than we've ever had. We had 1,400 views in the last week on Sportswire, just in the last week. That doesn't count other shows. Maybe it's just 1,400. It's 13 or 1,400. So I've been going to the moon about it. So we've had a number of different things. Sean Jovi announced, and a good note about we're having actually a new wrestling championship belt, really because of Sportswire. I mean, that was a massive accomplishment that he talked about. He put out there. We're sponsoring that. We did have some things. We had Copper Dragon, who's the backyard wrestling ambassador. We had him on the show. So we had some really cool, important moments. We had Aaron Blaze on here. So there's a lot of great stuff. Hillbilly Tilly was a part of a lot of that. Rob is old enough to remember when the only sport being played in New York City was Cowboys and Indians. Now, that would be racist, though. Wouldn't that? You can't bring up Cowboys and Indians. Wouldn't that be those that would play? What was it? If you were growing up, you lived in Brooklyn, if you had apartment buildings, you'd play Manhunt? You probably played Manhunt, knowing how old you are. Probably Manhunt. That was, was the thing people would say. You'd play because in those days you had no phones or nothing. So you think, okay, I'll play Manhunt and I'll be able to avoid somebody and never be caught. I don't know what that is. I mean, Manhunt, I know vaguely. Rob knows. Manhunt, I know Manhunt because I very vaguely remember Manhunt, but I don't know what that is. But thank you, Joe, for telling us. Chris, is there a sports story you want to share? And I'm amazed we have 113 people still watching us, so it seems to be the momentum's there. You have a sports story you want to share, Chris? Before
you know what? For the baseball fans, Paul Skeens, the number one pick from last year's draft, is going to make his Major League Baseball debut tomorrow. He's going to have his first start for Pittsburgh. So definitely check it out. And also MLB TV is free this weekend. So you can definitely check it out. So, it's all free. So check it out tomorrow. Nice. I think they start at 1:30 or whatever, but definitely check it out. It's going to be, it's probably the biggest debut for a pitcher since probably Strasburg, when he was with the Nationals back in whatever year it was.
2011, something like that.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that was a good point. And this is the last, you're in the peak of the great sports season. NHL playoffs are going in full effect. NBA, you got the races still going out there. Obviously, MLB, now we're about the quarter mark of the season, just right around there. So this is the last couple of weeks to me of great sports, everything in the thick of it. Then it becomes baseball. Takes center stage. And one hockey score of note right now, Oilers-Canucks 3-3. Oilers blew a 3-goal lead in the first game, and Edmonton came back to win. And a lot of teams have struggled with 3-goal leads. Our Islanders, Chris, unfortunately, were victim of that. We saw Dallas a victim of that. So teams have struggled with 3-goal leads, and we'll see if Edmonton can come back and even the series. And a lot of great stuff we spoke about here tonight. And I want to thank everybody that has tuned in. We've having a lot of great momentum here on the platform. A lot of great, despite some of the debauchery, we've had some great stuff announced. And we have a great week of shows ahead starting this weekend. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about all the new people who have tuned in, all the people that have stayed with the platform. I just want to thank everybody. And it's really been a great, Instagram is up, Facebook is up. So a lot of people are really tuning in. The website, we have a lot of new viewers tuning into the radio, really because of the, people coming and seeing the platform. I think that people know that there's only one platform that covers all forms of sports. There's only one platform that covers all forms of wrestling. There's only one platform that does the pros, the college sports, that covers everything like competitive eating. There's only one platform that gives the people that may be under the radar and don't get the recognition. It's Sportswire. I think that's why we have stood the test of time and we are growing and thriving when, again, most people don't. And you guys were all a part of the TSF Takes Boys, obviously TBK, Be More Talkative, Talking Rivals, Lift Off Jets. Let me go to closing thoughts to close out the night because I don't have much of a voice and I'm back on here at 9 o'clock Eastern time. DK, I give you the floor. Good to see you, my friend. Good to be with you. Sorry, though, about those Predators, but I hope to have you back here each and every week. So I turn it over to you, my friend. Fire away.
Just good to be back. Took a couple weeks off. Hope to be back next week. Actually, no, I won't be next week. I'll be out next week. Won't be able to join the show next week.
But you better be here the 24th. That's the big one.
Can't miss that one. I can't watch.
That's the big one. That's the big one.
Dismantle Mikey without a smile on my face. So there and watch.
Oh
that.
boy.
Might even be the person to watch that.
Well, you know what? I certainly extend an invitation to you. We'll look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks, and I'm excited. A lot of people are excited about that. Thank you for doing. Congratulations on getting married soon. I really want to wish you a lot of luck with that, and keep up the great work for us. Thank you for all you do for us. Scooby, I want to give you the floor. Good to be back with you. Looking forward to having you here for the next couple of weeks. I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, say? Floor is yours.
It was great to be back this week as well. I will say I am going to be out of town with DK next week, so I also won't be here. But week after that, I will be back up on here and get a couple more shows in with you guys before I gotta go for the summer.
All right. Well, I hope you're back on the 24th, and hope you guys are going somewhere nice. And thank you for your stuff. And somebody wants to say, who died last week? I saw in your last podcast someone died. Who was it? Remind me, Rob Maraska, who the death was. Was it like the guy that UL Washington was last week's death?
Yeah,
right? UL Washington. And thank you to Carson. What's that?
Yeah, the toothpick in the mouth.
It was UL Washington and Carson. This week it was Sean Burroughs who died, who might be remembered a little bit younger for our generation. He was 43, but he was the son of Jeff Burroughs, who played for the Texas Rangers. Jeff Burroughs was an MVP back in the 70s. Sean Burroughs was a top draft pick. Had a marginal career in the big leagues. He died this week. Unfortunately, he died. He was a little league coach, died, I think, in a car or something, what Rob was telling us. And last week was UL Washington, who had an okay career. What did he play? About 7 or 8 years, mostly for the Royals. But he had a toothpick, and we talked about he was kind of the, early inspiration to the late, great Razor Ramon, who most people know as Scott Hall, who's also a two-time Hall of Famer, arguably maybe the greatest wrestler to have never won a World Heavyweight Championship. Now, in these days, everybody wins a World Heavyweight Championship in wrestling, but Razor Ramon was one of the few guys that actually didn't win it. But that's the death, Carson. And Carson, if you have not yet subscribed to us, hit that sub button for us at Sportswire Radio 6570. I want to see more subscribers so we can actually have more subscribers in the Staten Island Advance, who basically should probably be used as toilet paper for Xavier Thorne's next appearance on Sportswire Radio.
Come back next week and every week for a death.
He's the Grim Reaper, after all, Rob Maraska. He's the Grim Reaper, and we live near a cemetery, so he's obviously preparing to window dress the body. And I have definitely subbed. Yeah, sad days. Yeah, but that's the sports world, unfortunately. Unfortunately, that's death, I guess, in a way. We have people that, unfortunately, people die every day. But when it's notable names, it sucks. It's sad, but what can you do? You have to just go forward. And, we try to celebrate despite all the different, good, bad, and in between. We try to still celebrate all of that. And we'll see what happens. Chris, I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. I'm looking forward to keeping the Talking Rivals in the rotation this weekend. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And fire away, my friend.
Tom, thank you. Guys, great show as always. We'll be back probably Monday with Talking Rivals. We'll wrap up the week and preview the next week. And we should be back with a liftoff. I know we skipped this week. Things were a little crazy, but we should be back this week.
Schedule next week will be a little better, I would imagine.
Yeah, got a little more to chat about. So we'll be back chatting about the Jets. So you could look for that probably Wednesday night. Okay. So that's about it. You can follow me, CP7NY, the show at Talking Rivals, at Liftoff Jets as well.
Awesome. I look forward to that. I enjoyed the show this week. I'll keep in the rotation for the next few days. And my best to Sharman as well. Rob Morosky, you are the Grim Reaper, after all, of Sportswire Radio. I turn it over to you for closing us. I'm closing out with Big T, Mr. Eater, the odds-on favorite to win on the 24th. So, Rob, I give you the floor, and hopefully you don't eat our viewers with some Grim Reaper-like closing thoughts, and fire away. Trying to make it different.
Great show, guys. I'm
Great
not
show.
the self-proclaimed Grim Reaper. Alan Michaels is the one who gave me that.
Well,
name.
Alan Michaels might need you to be a Grim Reaper for his death on competitive eating after Big T gets through with them. So you might actually have to have your role as a Grim Reaper come into handy on 14 days from now.
Anyway, I'm gonna have a contest next week. I'm gonna announce it. We had fun
Eating
last year.
contest, or just a card contest? Is it eating contest?
No, it's a card contest. It's an Oakland A's contest because they sent me a bonus card and it's an Oakland A's card. So I'm going to announce that next week. We had fun with those Oakland A's fans who got.
I heard the running joke I heard today. Yeah, my running joke I heard was they're going to be called the Sacramento Athletics of Las Vegas next season.
Yeah, that is pretty funny. But we had fun with them last year, if you remember.
Yes, I do. Yes.
They got pissed at me, so
Yeah.
I'm going to give that away, and we will announce that next week.
Yeah, sad. Still sad for the A's. When I think of teams like the Coyotes and the Oakland A's, and years ago it was the Atlanta Thrashers in hockey, the Expos in baseball, and with the Seattle SuperSonics in the NBA, the Vancouver Grizzlies. I just, I always hate hearing about these situations. And the A's, again, a wonderful franchise, but they're obviously in their last season in Oakland. The Coyotes, again, they're not extinct, but they're deactivated, which I've already been making fun of that the last couple of weeks in Sportswire. But that'll be certainly a nice little addition to any A's fan. The A's are actually, playing a lot better than people expected. I don't think it'll last, like Chris said on his show, but I know, Rob, you'll certainly give us maybe some Grim Reaper-like forecast on May 24th between Michaels and Big T, which turns me over to Big T. I'm giving you the floor, Big T, because you're my main event. You're my attraction. You're the guy that's the odds-on favorite in the eating contest on May 24th. So I'm giving you some closing thoughts. You're going to eat the competition away, I know, with your final words, and fire away, my friend.
Yes, sir, man. Obviously, great show, TBK, man. I hope to have you on here pretty consistently, man. It was also,
yeah, great. I'll be honest, it's probably going to be the best Friday show we had. We say this before, but this is, I think, going to be the best one, I think.
Good, man. You love to hear that kind of stuff. And obviously, Chris, Rob, Tom, it was obvious. That's fantastic every time.
Me on sports, but you see me on the platform all the time.
True, man. But
they want to see me go. They want to see me leave the platform. There's people.
Nobody wants to see you leave.
It was a joke. I was trying to be funny. But.
Man, if you guys couldn't guess, though, obviously with I'm also gonna be with DK and Scooby out of town as well. I believe that following week 2, I believe one of those days falls on a Friday, that we'll actually be preparing for DK's wedding. So a little bit of some busy weeks coming up. But besides that, man, obviously gonna be back on, and can't wait to talk more with you guys.
24th the big one. So take the week off. Take the next 13 days off. But you better be here on May 24th, 10 p.m. with your eating bib and your eating appetite there. So you can do whatever you want as far as I'm concerned, but you better be here on May 24th, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Well, a few minutes before I go over the contest.
For sure, man, for sure.
And congratulations to you, DK, and you guys enjoy yourself. Have a great vacation. I can't wait to kick off Memorial Day weekend with all of you guys. Thank you for all of your hard work, TBK. Always good to be back with you. Chris Craven, nice to see him. Shane Davidson was here. Alan Michaels was trying to stay trendy. Mac 10, our old buddy from Resurrection Wrestling, was here. We're trying to get James Taylor in, but unfortunately had 10 people in and couldn't fit everybody. And, thank you, everybody, for all of your support on Sportswire Radio. We have a lot of great shows ahead in the next week. I can't wait for everybody to be with you on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much for your support. YouTube is the best week we've ever had, honestly, on Sportswire. So, despite everything, it seems to work. We haven't, Facebook, best week we've ever had, Instagram, new fans. So I really want to thank everybody for your support out there, and keep it coming. Tell all your friends, tell everybody Sportswire Radio is the only platform where all sports matters, all wrestling matters. And we were joined tonight by Big T, DK, Scooby Stoney, and Alan Michaels and Shane Davidson at TSF Takes. Rob Maraska, the Grim Reaper of Sportswire Radio, TBK, who's host of the Be More Talkative podcast, from the Liftoff Jets and the Talking Rivals, Chris Pizzea. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling and all sports here. And we'll be back tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, with Jake Matthews of NEW Underground Wrestling, getting ready for their show, All Out War 9. And also, happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Hope you all have a great day. Hope that your plans, if you're in New York and Tennessee, be indoor plans, because the weather stinks here this weekend, but enjoy it regardless. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global relation that is Sportswire Radio. And I'll see everybody later. And thank you to you guys. I can't wait for Friday's show. And thank you for making this probably going to be wind up being the most viewed Friday show in YouTube Sportswire history.